Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran and I'm here with River Brown, Andrew Velez, and John Tortorelli. And this is episode 493. Now in this episode, we will talk about the NBA Finals aftermath. That includes OKC. That includes the Indiana Pacers. What's next? Unfortunately, speaking on the Achilles injury that Tyrese Haliburton suffered in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. And then a big-time trade happened. Kevin Durant got traded to the Rockets. We'll discuss what it means for the Rockets. We'll discuss what it means for the Phoenix Suns. And the NBA season ended last night, but we still will give our early top 5 NBA teams for the next upcoming seasons for the East and West. And the Ravens signed Jair Alexander. We'll talk about that as well. Fellas, how are we doing?
Doing pretty good. Pretty good. Yesterday was extremely bittersweet. Bittersweet as sin because it looked like we were on track to watch a Tyrese Haliburton masterclass.
Drugs.
And I was excited for that, genuinely. Game 7, chips on the table. It looked like he was ready for the moment. Starts the game on go. And then the Achilles injury happens. Just sucked the life out of the game for me personally. I wanted, obviously, coming in, OKC to win the championship. I was not rooting for Indiana. But after seeing him go down and him being so willing and so thoughtless of himself for the team, to me, that moved me for sure. Mm-hmm. But congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder. To me, there's no asterisk. I don't want to hear that. But again, I'm doing great. I'm doing really well. And I'm excited to talk about a few things on the topic list, truthfully.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because, like you mentioned, we was on our way to a classic game too. Like Haliburton was playing great. You know, we were gonna get one of those like all-time Game 7s, and then he like popped his Achilles. And you know, you've seen all the news about players, you know, not coming back, and we've lost so many players to Achilles injury. So it definitely sucks to come in here and like talk about it because we did lose a player, you know, to a bad injury. Probably gonna lose him for the year, and that's another one in the East, you know, which is brutal too. Because you're losing teams like Boston and Indiana to potentially being another horse race, you know, to make it to the finals. But nonetheless, excited to talk some ball. The draft is Wednesday.
Facts.
You know, excited about that. Happy to be here.
I'm so happy to be here. Yesterday was a very eventful day, and like you guys kind of touched on, it was a little bit for me kind of disheartening early on because I know we're going to talk about it a little bit, but it felt like to me like the most gut-wrenching injury I've seen in a long time in sports. But like Riv said, we have the draft in a couple of days, and that's like one of my favorite days. I went last year, maybe hoping to go this year, so it's really a good time to be an NBA fan.
There's a lot of things going on in the sports world right now. We will touch on the NBA Finals, so I'll wait to speak on the Haliburton thing till then. But this was a pretty cool season. I think this was a great NBA playoffs, a lot of incredible moments that the Pacers had in these playoffs.
100%.
In the clutch, Haliburton had 3 game winners by himself, and this was a good season. And OKC comes out victorious, and they're the NBA champions.
I get to celebrate another Alex Caruso championship. I mean, how can you not be happy?
He's the modern day Robert Horry.
Ooh, I would say he's the like modern day Bruce
Big shot,
Bowen.
Rob.
We were talking about Bowen before.
I mean, that's a compliment. I'm hearing a lot of compliments right now.
Big
Alex
shot. Rob's
Caruso.
like a legend.
So is
a
Alex
legend.
Caruso
Just
for
two
being
different
transparent.
Yeah, Robert Horry is more of a big-time shot maker
Big shot,
in clutch
Rob.
moments, and Caruso is just, he's impacting the game for 48
He has like
minutes.
8 rings, or 7 or some shit like that.
He has
Like,
a
eight.
lot.
He has a lot of rings.
He has a lot. Yeah, it might be a stretch calling him the modern-day Robert Horry.
It's just different.
But it's role players that's winning championships, that's contributing
What's
to a
wrong with what you're
championship.
saying?
Rob getting lucky and
The
jumping
play
on
styles
teams
are
to win is
different.
crazy.
I would say it's like Bowen.
It's just like
Alex
Rob
Caruso.
has more, that's it.
What, like rings, success? Yeah,
Triple,
yeah.
yeah.
No, for sure, at
Yeah,
least.
he has a lot more. He's been on a lot of successful teams.
4 times, literally. He has 8 championships.
Seven.
In 7, is it? Wow.
Yeah.
That's still a lot, though. That's crazy.
Hey, maybe OKC can get there, though.
7?
Nah, 7 is crazy. 7.
7 is a
Imagine.
lot.
Alexia.
No, man, I feel like with the NBA right now, I think it's in a good spot, just product-wise. I know that you said something in the chat about how the viewership has kind of been down since
Yeah, it was unfortunate.
the last 20 years in the finals and stuff. It's like it's half of what it was in 2016. 2016 Game 7 with LeBron and Steph was 32 million. This one was 16 million for Game 7.
Yeah, it didn't get more views than a Spurs Pistons 05 or some shit like
Oh,
that.
That
yeah,
was 20
fine.
years ago. How much of that is not accounting for streaming? A lot. I feel like the viewership in television ratings is very deceiving.
Yeah,
No, he's right.
Yeah.
He's right 1,000%.
yeah, for sure.
I think it's deceiving, but I don't think it's 16 million people deceiving. You
I
know,
agree.
No, I think you should
16's a
still
lot.
clear a Spurs Pistons game 7.
2016 NBA Finals, though, is the pinnacle of NBA attention because no matter what happened in that game, you're seeing something in NBA history that will not be replicated in our lives, probably.
and it was LeBron and Steph, and that's a different cachet than
I
just
feel like
NBA Finals. has.
this one would have been that too, though, because you see Indiana win for the first time. OKC. win
I
for the
am
first time.
shocked that it didn't surpass 05. That is shocking. Nothing against the Spurs, nothing
Just more
against that
basketball
Pistons.
compared. You know what I'm saying?
That's all I'm saying. It's like Tim Duncan's a legend for sure, but you mentioned it. It's not Kobe versus the LA versus the Celtics. It's not LeBron versus Curry. It's not that. But it's the modern day basketball, game 7. I'm expecting it to do numbers. That was shocking, but nevertheless, I thought it was good basketball until it wasn't. Even after Tyrese went down, I thought it was really strong basketball again until it wasn't. But again, let me not get ahead of myself. Let's just get into the show.
So if you guys are watching or listening right now, first of all, thank you guys for everybody that participated in the survey. It was very
To y'all.
helpful. Your guys' opinions, your guys' thoughts on how things could be better, or if you don't like things to change at all. Because a lot of you guys said you like to show how it is and stuff. So we appreciate that as well. Something that I've read from some of the responses that they definitely want us to go back to a desk vibe, and we've been talking about that internally.
That definitely has been circulating.
And we have been speaking about it. So I know that people are very low on the perception of AI and stuff, and I understand why. Mr. Beast just launched a AI thumbnail generator. I don't know if you guys saw it on Twitter, but it's basically his own service that you pay, I think, $80 a month for. And any thumbnail you see on YouTube, you can copy and paste it, and you can swap your face in for it, and it generates you the thumbnail. And it's gotten a lot of backlash for stealing art and other people's content because they're basically using it without permission. But, you know, that got a lot of backlash. I say that all that to say that I used AI to generate a in-studio look for how we want a desk setup to be. And I'm going to put it on screen right now and let us know what you guys think of it. It's going to be that type of vibe, just like a desk, a potential 5th chair for Mr. John Tortorelli here. A Mahomes jersey in the back.
I'm not allowed.
Ooh, the greatest quarterback of all time.
I think I'm sitting on that. Like, it'll be on your side.
My goodness.
Can't be on mine. No way.
Patrick
Take that off
Mahomes.
your hands.
But, you know, yeah, that's what we're thinking of doing. I think AI is okay to use as like a tool in certain things, but, you know, we're just mocking up a studio.
I have no problem with AI. AI is going to inevitably take over. You just got to be smart and use it to your advantage while you can before it's too late when people are already ahead of you. You know, that's just how everybody talks and everybody understands what it's going to bring. But using it to mock up some for us, I think that was a good idea.
Yeah, that's valid. There's a lot of backlash on AI right now for like just stealing people's arts and stuff. I feel like for some things it's good. I just think there needs to be a gray area. Like there definitely needs to be regulations on it.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
outside of that, like, you know, it is going to be something that we use as a tool.
Mm-hmm. No, Photoshop has existed well before AI. This is just making Photoshop a unbelievably amount easier. Yeah. But again, that goes into people feeling like they're getting stolen from, because again, people are putting in the hard work and time to be in Photoshop and make all these creative things when AI kind of just expedites that process times 100.
Yeah.
It's like you do it instantly. It's like snapping a finger.
Yeah,
it's like John Tortorelli.
Yeah.
He just found out about it, and he's like,
"You're living life right now, John."
What do you mean?
Like I'm saying, you're saving a lot of time.
No, I'm saying
Oh, yeah.
saying John just found out about the Mr. Beast thing.
Oh,
just now.
No, I actually did see about it yesterday.
Would you ever
Twitter.
think about using it or no?
Hell
You
no.
could be honest.
Oh wow, excuse me. Sorry for inferring that you would.
It's weird because there's a lot of stuff. I think it was Yahoo or one of the bigger kind of sports media sites that had let go of a lot of different journalists and replaced it with AI generated content, which was flagged as like not human made. And I believe it was Brett Coleman that tweeted about it, that over time, especially in a realm like this, like the ability to actually have like real authenticity and like genuine work from a person versus something that's AI generated. And I'm sure you see it in medicine all the time, because talking to my brother Nick about it, who's a nurse. There's so much misinformation with sports all the time with AI. If you do a brief Google search, there's like Gemini tests where it's like, who are some players from the 2016 NBA draft? So Riff and I are doing a 2016 redraft or 2018 redraft for our boy James. It tells me Fred VanVleet was drafted, or he was of the 2018 draft class, which was 2 years off. And like you'll see like basic misinformation like that in any field, including medicine especially, where it's way more kind of important. So there's definitely a give and a take where there's a certain point in time where you can't necessarily replicate or replace the jobs of humans with it.
I'm with you.
There's people that think that there's going to be a full circle moment where right now everybody, like, they're on YouTube and they're trying to make like the best looking thumbnails for their content.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, there's an arms race to make everything look like the top thumbnails. And that's what Mr. Beast's platform is kind of selling to people.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a prediction that there's going to be a full circle moment where people are going to stop clicking on thumbnails that look really good. And they're going to start gravitating towards thumbnails that
The mid?
might look bad, but look human made because they know it's actually made by a creator.
I have a hard time agreeing with that. I think naturally we're prone to the best stuff. Like, that's what we're attracted to. We are attracted to the best stuff. That's kind of where I'm at with that. I'll say this. When it comes to AI, I forgot the point that I wanted to make to start. And maybe it shouldn't be because people really seem not to like AI. We live in a society that's lazy. That's actually what the point I was going to make. And AI really simplifies that for a lot of people. And the lazy people are going to use that to their advantage. And we try to find the easiest way out. That's just the truth. So that's why people really are infatuated with AI. That's why I think AI is going to go to even crazier heights than it already is at. Because again, it makes everything so easy for people that don't want to put in effort. Yeah. Which is why I can respect a lot of the people saying, I don't like AI because I actually work hard and I put time into this. I definitely hear where that's coming from. But don't miss that opportunity. Because even though you can be so hard-headed to so many things, don't get caught in that because naturally we're moving forward and we're progressing. And I agree with what you're saying. It's not cool. It's not. But don't get caught being behind. That's where you can have it be a fault.
Do you use AI, Riff?
Not really.
Dude, when we had an all-time moment with the ChatGPT with 100 Brock Lesnar's versus
that's like the only like I really don't need it. Like throughout my day to day, I don't need it. So
I definitely use ChatGPT. Not for anything creative wise, but more so for information. Like it's become my Google. I pay for it.
I use a lot of AI. I use it for basic stuff like proofreading emails. I'm learning Italian.
For sure.
I'll use it with Duolingo.
Lit.
Duolingo's AI. Grammarly's AI. All those resources and tools are just...
Duolingo has become AI.
I've never thought of using ChatGPT to learn another language.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
I'll use it to kind of help. And
there you go.
Another example too is like in school, like to mock up a thesis statement, I'll use Gemini. So I use it in a lot of different ways.
What about, hey, can you write this 900 word paper for me?
Don't incriminate John. He's being a bastard right now.
In theory, you could do that. We had a moment in the chat the other day where I was maybe accused of using it and I laughed.
Oh my goodness. No, but that's cool. I mean, I think it's fine to use it for certain things. I think, everybody draws their own line pretty much.
Definitely.
Everybody draws their own line and, you kind of use it for how you see fit. Sometimes people don't even notice that you use it. So,
Also, people have a problem with everything Mr. Beast does. They have a problem with everything he does. This may have been a step too far. I agree. Everything, they have a problem with what he does.
Yeah, they had a problem with his recent video of the guy that had a 100-pound weight loss.
What's the issue there?
The issue was that the coach that died in the video.
Oh, all right. This. I didn't watch the full video.
Okay.
I just saw the idea.
So
thank you for explaining this to me.
This dude, his name was Coach Wall. And he was training the guy that was trying to lose weight. And I think halfway through his process, they just went into that building that the guy was living in, the dude that was trying to lose weight. And they basically told him, like, I got some bad news for you. And then he said, like, are you kicking me out or something? And then they were like, no, I wish it was that. This is worse. And he was like, your coach that was training you for the last couple of months, he was found dead in his apartment. And, Mr. B's got a lot of backlash for leaving that footage in there. Of
like his reaction to
the guy passing away.
Okay.
And I understand how that can be a gray area, but they asked him if he'd want to continue the video. And the guy said, yeah, like I want to lose this weight for him. And so while like I understand how that could be a gray area.
Yeah.
I think it was an important piece of the context.
It's his story.
To the video
I
and
agree.
to like his journey of losing that weight in that particular video. So
Because that could
that's
have been
what I understood.
that could have been a factor in him deciding to stop the weight loss journey, and it could have
Yeah.
gone the complete opposite way.
Yeah, because Mr. Beast asked him. He said, "Listen, we can stop production of the video, and you don't have to do this anymore."
I respect both sides in
Yeah,
that. I respect Mr. Beast for giving that opportunity, but I also respect that dude for
Yeah.
one, honoring his coach and wanting to continue, but also not going the dark route, which easily
Yeah.
is possible.
But that was something he got a lot of backlash
Interesting.
for on
Interesting.
Twitter. Yeah.
Something that I'm gonna have to watch and make my own opinion after.
As
but
someone that watched the video, I didn't think that it was that big of a deal. I thought it was an important piece of context to the story of it
Mhm.
because I was misled because I hadn't watched the video. And then somebody had tweeted how bad of a human being Mr. Beast is because somebody died in the video and like he just completely ran past it and really didn't honor the guy in any way.
But that you don't think that was the case?
No. I watched the video and I was like, I'm wondering why people have such a big problem with this.
Okay.
Because there was the conversation that he publicized. He asked him if he could publicize. Maybe he shouldn't have done it.
Mhm.
But there was a separate conversation with Mr. Beast, the head of his production, and the guy that was losing weight. And they didn't air any of that audio. And it was them just talking for like an hour or two that like it time lapsed in the
Yeah.
video itself. But they were talking about like, if you want to keep doing this, and that conversation, the audio wasn't leaked.
Mhm.
And the guy said, yeah, he wants to keep doing it. He doesn't want a new coach. And, he ended up losing that weight in that video. So,
Damn.
it kind of...
That's heavy.
Yeah, and they honored the dude in the video. Like, they said, rest in peace to the guy. And, they asked his family if it was okay to, like, do that. And they said yes,
Wow.
too. So, when watching the video, I was kind of like, I don't know why people have such a big problem with this, but maybe I'm missing something that
Yeah.
they clearly have caught on to. But no,
Damn.
yeah, it was a pretty good video.
Yeah, no, I mean, just seeing the concept and like the quick clips on
Yeah.
Twitter, I thought it was really cool. And then the guy lost that weight in like the first few months of the challenge.
186 days.
Yeah, that's amazing. The
Mhm.
guy was locked. He was dedicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough to hear, man. That gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, it was a good video though. Like it was really good, and like I said, it would have been very hard to leave out that piece of context in the video.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they had just kept recording and didn't mention that a guy passed away during the recording,
Mm-hmm.
that would have been messed up.
Mhm.
Like continuing to shoot the video and the guy continuing to go on his weight loss journey despite that loss,
Mm-hmm.
like was a very important piece of context that I feel like couldn't have been left out in the video.
Yeah.
But people wanted it to be left out in the video, and that's why they were so mad at Mr. Beast because he left it in.
Interesting.
I found it crazy how I feel like we're all in the same spaces on Twitter and stuff like that, and I have zero idea who Mr. Beast is.
No,
Yeah, I don't know who.
He's like one of the biggest YouTubers.
he's not one of.
He is.
Right now, he's
Is
the
he number
most
one?
subscribed dude on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't know who. That
Interesting.
is.
You know what? I did not know of him until Joel.
Okay.
Joel, when I first came onto the show, he's like, yo, Mr. Beast. I'm like, who? He's like, what? Mr. Beast is like the guy.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Never
yeah.
seen him before. I don't
So-
even know what video you guys are talking about.
I think Mr. Beast there's moments where I'm just like, little coming on a little too strong. But then for majority, I think that he means well. He's really great at content. Like,
Have you ever seen the chocolate bar Feastables
Mm-mm.
at like a 7-Eleven? That's his brand. He's basically went from making YouTube videos to having like a chocolate bar,
Oh, okay.
and
So
like
listen.
he's probably like he's made the most money off YouTube.
and Mr. Beast Burger in the American Dream Mall.
I haven't been to the American Dream Mall yet.
Neither have
You're
I.
missing a vibe.
You know, the
No, I heard it's
American Dream Mall is actually losing money.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, they're actually like I think in debt right now.
I'm not surprised. That was their fear when they were building it.
It's a hard building to keep up with.
It's also because the plaza is better. The Garden State Plaza is
Is
the
it?
GOAT mall. It's amazing.
It is.
I
pretty
think
good.
it hurts the American Dream Mall that they have you pay for parking.
They didn't, and then they started doing it. When I first went there, when it first
Paying
opened,
for
you
parking
did not
is
have to
nuts.
pay. It is
But I
crazy.
feel
You
like
gotta
they would
pay
get
like
packed up.
$5
bro.
every time.
You'll get
Yeah.
packed up if they don't. I feel like.
Yeah,
And it's hard to find parking anywhere else.
The plaza, you don't have to pay at all.
You don't know.
And
That's
there
funny.
is times where it is body to body in there.
Mall culture has just died as a whole, I think.
You're not wrong.
Like, there's a lot of people
Amazon
that go to the mall
definitely ruined things.
Still,
I
but
feel like it's a lot of good shit in the American Dream though.
like I feel like
It's a whole ass amusement park
Yeah.
and water park and
And
skiing.
it's
Yes.
yeah.
They have
But
an
it's
ice
indoor.
rink.
It's about to be hot.
they have an ice rink in there.
Ice rink, yeah, facts.
They have like mad things in
I
there.
feel like those are like because I don't want to go to an indoor water park during the summer.
No?
Like, I want outside.
But that's the vibe is you go to the indoor water park when it's cold out.
yeah, but maybe I don't know. I'm different. I don't feel a need to like if it's cold out. I don't want to go to a water park.
I agree.
It's very seasonal for me.
I
Like
agree
I don't
with
know
you.
if it's just me, but whenever I go to the mall, as of recently, I just can't find anything I like.
Can't find shit. in
Like
there.
I can't find clothes that I'm like, yeah, like this is fly. Like I want to buy this.
Everything's
Yeah.
online.
Everything is online, exactly. Like online is where I find the majority of stuff that I want to buy, and I'm like, yeah, like this is valid. Like when I go to the mall, I feel like for the most part, I'm always wasting my time,
Mhm.
or I buy something just because I feel like I need to leave the mall with something.
Yeah,
Like
no,
I didn't
agree.
waste my time here, and then when I buy it, I'm like, shit, I don't even wear it. Like it was like a waste of a purchase.
And when it comes to clothing, it's really hard to find like the really nice things in the mall. Like, because again, a lot of that's pre-order. A lot of that is like day of release. You have to make sure you're on it. Like, I feel like recently I've realized that with shoes. Like shoes, they sell out in seconds. Like the really nice ones, you have seconds or you're fried. And then
Yeah.
in store, you're able to get those shoes. I'm genuinely asking.
No,
That's fucked up.
like the releases that come on sneakers, you can't get them in
Like the
store.
grapes. The grapes just dropped. I missed out. I was working. I was pretty upset about it. They actually would have gone stoop with the fit I was wearing to the gym. You can't get those shoes. And when I looked in there, it was $9.50. I was like, oh, okay, I'll probably be out in time. It was $9.40. I go and I check again. Gone. 40 minutes. I don't get 40 minutes.
Yeah, no, you got to be on that the
Like
second it
on
drops.
at 10
The
o'clock.
second it drops, ready to
you're-
pay for it.
And that's nonsense,
Yeah.
man.
Like don't even brush your teeth. Just get ready on the app.
You set your alarm if
Yeah.
you're one of those guys that wakes up at a late time, 9:55.
9:56, 9:57.
Yeah,
You just sit there
OD.
like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, that's tough.
Have your Apple Pay ready.
Facts. That's
Because if
huge.
you don't have, you got to put your card in. It's over.
You
By the
lose time.
yeah,
You're not on the line anymore.
It's over.
No, yeah, this Travis Scott John Cena jersey just came in the mail.
It's nice.
I
It
waited
looks tough.
like 3-4 months for it.
This is the one that
but it
took
was worth
forever.
it. Yes. I ordered it a week before WrestleMania,
Damn.
and it just came like this past weekend. I bought 2 more of these
Mhm.
because I wanted to resell them. I looked on eBay. Right now they're going for $300 to $400.
W.
Just this, and I bought this for like $140 or $150.
That's
It's
easy.
about that. So yeah, I'm thinking about selling it. I haven't listed it up on eBay. There's a lot of things I want to list up on eBay that I just be forgetting, bro.
I get it. eBay's tough too.
Yeah, I'd
Like,
be too lazy.
The whole reselling,
felt
yeah,
that,
it's
man.
a weird culture.
And
think
then
that's-
this is Jess's. So I'm over here thinking because I have 2 more, and I'm just thinking if I want to keep one of them or not. I don't know.
So,
I don't blame you if you
so
don't.
taking an edible tonight.
Yeah, tonight's about to hit.
I'm off tomorrow.
You're up. I have
Isn't
work
school
tomorrow.
over? So you're off for the rest of the summer.
Like I have to literally go in tomorrow for like 5 minutes,
Yep.
and then I get to leave.
I have work tomorrow and Wednesday, and then I'm off for a week. Silver lining.
Yeah, I'm off till after the 4th. Then summer camp.
I work 4 times in 5 days.
Brutal.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not happy.
And it's probably like 12
about
hours
it.
shit. You're fucked, bro.
I'm not
Oh my
happy
goodness.
about
God
it.
bless you. You know, God bless you, man.
I appreciate that, bud.
So if you guys are watching this, make sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and also support PrizePicks. When you
Please
go on
do.
PrizePicks, right now the NBA has ended, but you still have WNBA, you have the MLB going on, and you can play with those sports. Use code PAS on PrizePicks. You play $5 and you get $50 instantly.
Brainer.
You don't even gotta wait. You play $5, you deposit $5, you get that $50 instantly into your account, and you can play on a ton of different things. You know, Caitlin Clark, right now,
She's back.
in
She's
the midst
locked.
of playing not so great. I will say she's had some inefficient games,
Damn near
but she
triple
has
double.
come back from injury.
Was it 14, 9, and 7?
Some shit like
It
that.
was like 8 for 24 shooting.
Yeah,
Angel
no,
Reese
ba-
had a nasty triple. It was like 3 for 13, but it was like 12 points, 14 rebounds.
Yo, bro,
like
did
10
you
assists.
see that Ionescu has the second most triple doubles in WNBA history?
I did not.
And I think it's like 14
4.
or something.
No,
4?
4.
It's 4?
She has
Wow.
4.
I
Is
believe
it number
that.
1 all time, like
I
15?
think
Something-
something like that.
Is it
I
my
think someone
award?
has 15.
No, I don't remember who it is off the top of my
Four
head.
is funny. I get it though. I get it.
It's hard to get rebounds and assists.
In WNBA for sure.
It used to be very hard in the NBA. Now everybody started doing it.
Start racking them shits up, man.
Yeah.
More possessions.
Exactly.
Nafis is winning MVP.
Alyssa Thompson has the most triple doubles in WNBA history with 15, but 11 in the regular season. She's the only one to have multiple triple doubles. Yep, in the playoffs.
So if you guys want to use PrizePicks, Sabrina Ionescu, Kaylin Clark, or maybe Angel Reese rebounds, you know that's
or a little
always
bit of Paige
that might be a lock.
Beckers.
Paige Beckers.
She's been locked.
They're saying she might be
nonsense.
up there with Kaylin Clark.
No, she's not.
High key though, Minnesota really has like 3 stars.
The Lynx are OD.
They got Nafisa, Jettas, Ant-Man.
And
they're all young.
Nafisa probably
MVP.
on her way to win MVP.
Dog.
She's
just
been
coming
incredible.
Off a champion. Well, she didn't win, but she was in it.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be crazy if the Liberty set the record for most wins in a season and don't have an MVP.
Probably won't.
They probably won't. Because Nafisa
barely have a second placer. Probably not third.
Okay, I'm assuming Brianna or Sabrina is gonna figure it out.
I don't get it.
Yeah,
I be watching, I just be like, I ain't feeling it.
No.
I know we're gonna win because our team's so good, but nobody screams MVP. At least not the numbers. You know what I'm saying?
MVP, no. MVP, no.
Impact, yes.
Yeah. We got
Like,
a few of them.
But like MVP, like, nah, it ain't it, man. We ain't got that.
Yep. You guys can use code PAS, play $5, get $50 on PrizePicks, help support the podcast. NBA Finals Aftermath. Biggest takeaway after OKC had won the NBA championship.
To me, it's easy as could be. My biggest takeaway is I can't believe the amount of haters Oklahoma City has. And I only realized that after this NBA Finals.
Villains.
You have asked for a homegrown team for years. For years, you've asked for that. You got it in the Boston Celtics in a way. You got it in the Boston Celtics because their 2 stars were homegrown. Yes, their third piece in Kristaps Porzingis was definitely the cherry on top. That was a bit extra. And of course, Drew Holiday. But KP got injured. Drew Holiday was incredible. But the people who were pulling for the Celtics that weren't Celtics fans, it was mostly because of Tatum, and you could have felt a little bit slighted from the Tatum performance in the playoffs in their finals run. But this one, you got everything you wanted. Shea, not homegrown, but year 2 basically.
He's homegrown.
He's basically homegrown.
Yeah.
J-Dub, Chet Holmgren,
All homegrown, baby.
Aaron Wiggins. Like, you have so many draft picks that have come into fruition and really had an impact. You made marginal moves in Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso. These aren't
caught the 2 you undrafted.
well said. These aren't the cream of the crop players in the league. Amazing additions, no doubt about it. You guys know how I feel about Caruso. Isaiah Hartenstein, his impact defensively from the difference when they started the season without him to when they picked him up, they didn't look back. Their defense was always amazing, but Isaiah was definitely an impact on that side. These aren't overwhelming additions. This is what you've asked for. They have an amazing historic defense. You also asked for more physical defense. You've been begging for that. Oh, man, I miss the old days where you could really play defense. You could rough up the offensive player. You kind of got that with Oklahoma City, but now it's they get away with a little bit more. They get away with so much, and they have the craziest foul baiter in the league in SGA when he didn't even lead the league in free throws attempts. He's a 50, 40, damn near 90 player in the regular season. His three-point shot was not great this postseason, but he still averaged 30 in the finals. He averaged almost 30 for the entirety of the playoffs. Now, I'm just at a loss for words because you just try to find someone to hate now. You found a way to hate on the Celtics, and I get it. It's the Celtics. That's an easy one because they've already accomplished so much. And Jason Tatum, your star was underwhelming. Shea wasn't underwhelming. There was multiple times where he rose to the occasion. He rose to the occasion against the Nuggets. He rose to the occasion against Minnesota, which you could argue was his best series. And in the finals, multiple times he rose to the occasion. Game 4, they could lose the series if you don't have that performance from him in the fourth quarter. SGA was amazing. This team won its first championship in their franchise's history. And somehow, some way, people are calling it Mickey Mouse. Somehow, some way, people are finding new ways to hate on the new kids on the block. It's one or two things. And I would much rather one. It's either play style. You don't like how they play. Because I can get that offensively. You don't like the isolation. You don't like the, hey, it's your turn. Hey, it's my turn. People love James Harden. People loved Kevin Durant. They really loved those players growing up. What's any different? Here's the difference. We watch an all-time defense. Or it's the other. You're simply jealous of what their future holds. You're jealous that you don't have the plethora of assets that they have. From the ones that they already have in SGA, in J-Dub, in Chad, in Alex Caruso, in Isaiah Hartenstein, in Lou Dort, in Nikola Topic, who hasn't even stepped on the court yet.
Yeah.
It's one or two things. It's either play style or jealousy. And I really hope that it's play style, even though that is what you've been begging for, old school hoops. You've been begging for old school hoops, and you got a piece of that with their defense. So that's my biggest takeaway. I'm floored at the amount of hate that have drawn from the youngest team to win an NBA championship.
Second youngest.
Second youngest
behind Portland.
Thank
Portland's
you.
number one.
In the 70s?
Yes.
Bill
Walton.
Facts. Thank you.
Lionel Hollins.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about OKC, and they're not the people's champ. I think the Celtics last year weren't the people's champ.
For sure.
They didn't want them to win either. I think this year, more so than last year, because Dallas wasn't, I think, the people's champ either. I think Dallas was just a team that made the finals and they got hot, and they wanted them to win over the Celtics for sure, but it wasn't like they were in love with Dallas. I think the Pacers were the people's champ. People love the Pacers. They love what they represented. They love the style of basketball they played. I do. I think the Pacers were incredible, and the fact that they took the Thunder to the wire like this, it was unfortunate that Game 7 started how it started with Haliburton going down because it left everybody with a what-if moment. What 100%. If he could have stayed healthy? Because in this series, I thought OKC has looked very vulnerable, and I think the talk against OKC has gone too right. I think it's gone too over the edge where they're trying to discredit a championship. At the end of the day, OKC historically, statistically, will be remembered as one of the best statistical teams in the history of the NBA.
Nuts.
As somebody that has watched this entire season unfold with OKC, watched the playoff run unfold with OKC, they looked more vulnerable than your average all-time statistical team. Usually those all-time statistical teams, they dominate the landscape. The Nuggets took them to 7 with an MPJ who had a messed up shoulder, with Aaron Gordon who couldn't even really walk straight in Game 7 of the second round. It was Jokic, but I understand.
Aaron Gordon was bugging.
He was, but the Nuggets had some injuries,
vulnerabilities. You're right,
on their side, and then they didn't have the depth to compete with OKC, but that's a roster thing. And then in the Indiana series, I think we can all say that OKC is just a much more talented team than Indiana. But Indiana had been able to stay in this series and take it to 7 because of just how well they're built and how well they're coached. I thought Rick Carlisle was a much better coach in this series than Mark Daigneault. And I think since Game 3
outside of Game 7.
Game 7, yeah. Game 7, Rick Pascal Siakam not playing.
That was
a plethora of minutes was
mind-numbing stuff.
But from Game 3 to really... From Game 3 on in this series, I thought Rick Carlisle pretty much coached circles around Mark Daigneault. And you look at that Game 4 collapse, and you can also look at the Game 1 collapse that OKC had as well. But Game 4, the way that Indiana had lost, it's a double-edged sword because on one hand, OKC's defense stepped up in the biggest moment. OKC also on offense got away with some whistles that people thought that should have been called. Like when Shea pushed off of Aaron Nesmith and extended his arm and he hit that jump shot on the corner. You thought that shouldn't have been called, that shouldn't be rewarded in that type of moment. I think people have just been annoyed with the inconsistencies of the officiating. And with how physical OKC plays, it is very easy to cherry pick video moments of them fouling and it not being called. Like, I think Game 7 last time, if you guys saw this video footage, but Kaysen Wallace was grabbing TJ McConnell's arm and the referee was right there and they didn't call it. So I think when moments like that surface and moments like that go viral, people tend to just think that is all OKC is, and that becomes their perception. Because on the other end, if you look at, if Indiana does that to OKC, Shea's going to the free throw line. But when it comes down to OKC defending, they're able to get away with more physically. And that's where I think people will kind of get annoyed with them. But I think all in all, there are very few times ever that a team is going to be liked when they win an NBA championship. There's very few teams that have that sort of likability when they win at the highest level. I think the Celtics don't have it. I think OKC doesn't have it.
Nuggets had it.
I don't think the Nuggets did have it. I don't think the Warriors had it when they won.
2022?
2022, they did because they played the Celtics.
The Bucks had it.
The Bucks did.
The Bucks had it for sure. I think the 2020 Lakers did not because of the
The
setting.
Heat didn't.
So it's either you're getting an asterisk in the NBA community for going through a playoff run that featured injuries, or you're getting one because you're just not liked.
And here's one that had both of those. 2019 Raptors, multiple injuries. We're going up against a way more talented 2019 Raptors. If Kevin Durant and Klay were healthy, we know what the result would have been.
Yeah.
But people love to talk about that 2019 Raptors team. They love to give that one a lot of credit.
And that's the people's champ. And that's because they took
East was
down a
tough.
dynasty.
They played two tough Philly teams and Milwaukee teams. That was the thing. Like once the run there, like I'm not disagreeing with you. Like the finals, yeah. But like if the finals was healthy, that's an all-time run. Like it's still
100%.
like it's because the East run, like Philly was so stacked that year.
You locked Milwaukee
was so stacked that year. Like those two teams
You're
right
right
there were like top 5 teams in the league that year. That's why it's kind of like, all right, well, you still beat Steph for 6 games, Klay for like 4 or 3.5, and like Draymond, So it's, I personally think both teams hate it. Like from the way I've been watching, like I think outside of Boston fans who like Indiana because they've been trying to prop them up since last year, I think most East teams kept talking about the voodoo of Indiana, how they're just, a lot of shit is just going their way and they didn't want them to win. Then on the other side, it's like, OKC's been hated all year because of the foul stuff and just the way they played, the physical defense, stuff like that. But I think this is kind of what we wanted. Like we wanted a new champion. We wanted some,
some parity.
There we go. That's what I was thinking of. We wanted some parity. Like we've had a new champion for like the last 5 or 6 years. Like this, we want a new champion. And was it 8? Is it 8?
No,
27
back-to-back champions. It's 2017.
No, I said new champ.
No, new champ, like first time champ.
Oh, I think
No. Not the Warriors, but the Nuggets.
Yes.
Oh, not even true.
No, it is. Since 2019, we've had 7 different champions.
7 different
Because
champions.
the Raptors, the Lakers, the Bucks, the Warriors, the Nuggets, then last year the Celtics, and then OKC.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, like we're getting a new champion, and we're getting a new champion that's never won. Obviously the Supersonics won, but OKC hasn't won. Indiana didn't win. So I get it, Drew. Like it at a point it gets annoying because it becomes not about basketball anymore. Like yes, does OKC get away with some things? Sure, a lot of teams do though. Like
Indiana got away with a lot too.
You get that in every era though. Like there's gonna be that team that gets away with certain amount of things and stuff like that. And I don't think that should be the end all be all conversation. I still think what we got was pretty much good to great basketball for the most part.
For sure.
We got an Indiana OKC series that went 7 games, and that's what we should be talking about. Unfortunately, like we talked about before, Haliburton did get hurt, and that does suck because he was playing really great to start, and that could have been down to the wire. We could have got a banger game that in clutch time, we don't know what could have happened, but we got a series where, one team blew a lead in game 1, then, game 2 and game 3, that shit looks like that, and then game 4, Indiana blew the lead in the 4th quarter. OKC comes up. Then both teams win on their home floor, game 5, game 6. Now we get a classic game 7. The takeaway for me is just unfortunate that we didn't get to see Indiana healthy. That's my takeaway because I feel like it took away what could have been an all-time game 7 for us, like for what we've seen in our lifetime. And it's unfortunate because he was dealing with a calf injury, before that. And I know that whole conversation about how guys should sit out, but you can't I feel like talking like the moment matters. 100%. I feel like for us to say it doesn't matter, you should protect your health, protect the money. That's easy for us to say. We're sitting over here, we're watching. For him, just in general, Dame, him, Tatum, like Kevin Durant coming back in 2019, that moment, we don't know what that feels like. So for people to just be like, protect your health, protect the money, protect who you are. It's easy to say that. That moment, you're not going to be able to feel that moment every single time. That moment is rare and few. That moment right there to be in the finals, have an opportunity to play and win, it's really a moment that for regular people like us, we can't just quantify that. We can't, relate to that.
I'm
So
with you.
I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, Haliburton should have, should have sat down. I can't be one of those people because that's Game 7 NBA Finals.
I want to get to Oklahoma City in a second because I want to stay on that thought. It's very tough because for the longest time, the Pacers have been one of the best franchises in the NBA. It's never a team that struggles. It's a team that's always very good. And they had been on the precipice of a championship for the longest time. And this season was their best team in franchise history. And the build up to a Game 7, where in Game 6 he was playing through injury. Game 5, Joel and I were talking about afterwards. I'm like, I feel like he's being affected by this calf injury. And when you have an entire city in a state like Indiana that breathes basketball, dying for that championship, and you have a run like this, it's understandable to see Tyrese Haliburton playing. I think that's why he's got the heart of a champion. And regardless of who won the game last night, because congratulations to Oklahoma City, Tyrese Haliburton is one of the most beloved players in the NBA for a reason. In Sacramento, he want to turn that franchise around. Well, goddamn, he did it in Indiana. And he's brought that team to heights that they've never been to before. But last night specifically, to kind of magnify that moment, it was very weird because a couple possessions before, and I didn't even notice it until after the injury, he goes for a drive and his calf gave out. And that right there is his body being pushed to the very limit. And he had nothing left to give. He stayed on the floor. Mind you, he's drilling shots from 30 feet in Game 7 of the
on
NBA
go.
Finals. And then a possession later, the play that's getting replayed dozens of times for new viewers coming in to watch the game as an update, you see him going on for the drive and falling to the ground. And that snapshot right there is one of the most haunting videos I've ever seen as a sports fan, because the amount of pressure and the weight that he had on his shoulders to still go out there on that court, I think that's a testament to the type of player, the type of athlete he is, and just how much this meant to Indiana. And when you look at this team down the board, I disagree. I do understand if you go on Twitter, I don't value the way that someone's perceived based off Twitter or social media.
Damn right.
Because I don't think it's really an accurate snapshot of the entire world. Pascal Siakam is one of the most likable players in the NBA. TJ McConnell, talked about Cason Wallace grabbing his arm. Cason Wallace needed to do whatever he could to defend TJ McConnell.
TJ was unstoppable at the time.
When you look at players like that, Aaron Nesmith, I don't think I've seen Aaron Nesmith miss a catch and shoot 3 in my life. Miles Turner, who was on the trade block for the longest time, it was like Brooke Lopez in New Jersey, where I felt like the guy wasn't liked and he wasn't wanted in that place to then become a key player of a championship team. There's so many beloved players in that squad, and even after the game, I feel like the NBA coverage, it really was magnifying it because the documentary they have coming out on Netflix after the game, just seeing the heartbreak, that to me was something that crushed me. And I felt like, of course, it did affect the moment, because I agree. I thought that this was going to be a game that would have been even closer than what it was. Going in the second half, Indiana was still up by 1 point.
Yep.
And honestly, this is going to sound crazy. I would have been more comfortable if they're down going in the second half, just knowing what they've been this postseason. And for Tyrese Haliburton, it's heartbreaking because you not only lose a year in the peak of your career, but this was one of the most incredible playoff runs I've ever seen. And my favorite moments in this season all come back to his play on the court. His game winner versus the Cavs, his game winner versus the Knicks. That shot in Game 1 was the best moment of the season. In my opinion, that was the best moment of the season. And then you saw him in Game 1 of this series on the road against the Pacers, a team that didn't...
Against the Thunder.
Sorry, yeah, that he plays in the Pacers. Against the Thunder, they had 2 road losses this year. The first one, Aaron Gordon game winner. Second one, Tyrese Haliburton clutch mid-range.
After coming back, too.
1. So this run from him was something that I think it etched his stone that he is an incredible player, and I just want to start off by saying that I feel terrible. But to go to Oklahoma City a little bit, I think you made a great point before that there's that echoed sentiment that the NBA has so many issues, like teams don't defend anymore. Oklahoma City, they get all this shit for being more physical, but there's a difference when you're in position defensively. Because if you're in position, you can get away with more.
You can do a lot.
If you've got a guy beating you off the dribble and you're off balance and you're wrapping his arm, it's way easier for the ref to see that and call it. And then you take it a step further, people on a homegrown team, like you said, they want a smaller market, like you said. They also want a team that wasn't a dynasty. They want something new. We've gotten that for the last 8 years. They want a team, and this is the nostalgia in guys like me that like grew up watching Carmelo Anthony. They wanted the mid-range shooting. This was far from a prolific three-point shooting team. You watch Game 4.
Sure.
In Game 4, they couldn't hit the broadside of a barn from 3. Game 6, same exact thing. This was a team that was basically built off mid-range scoring and getting to the rim and getting to the foul line too. And that's also a skill. And all of those things, it even goes back to with younger NBA fans. I think the issue isn't the older audience. I think it's the younger audience that hates stoppages in the game. And they're tired of seeing the game stop, especially in the fourth quarter. Like last night, there's 6 minutes left. The game kept stopping 24/7 to review. But this is, like you said, one of the youngest champions of all time. And it's also one of the best constructed. And most importantly, for a market, Oklahoma City is a great destination, but it's one of, if not the smallest market in the NBA. And Sam Presti from the top down has built a perfect culture. He was bringing all these veterans like Kemba Walker and Al Horford, guys who hardly played for the team, and they almost respected that franchise more than any of the other teams they played for, how well they were treated. And that from the top down is what set a culture that kind of transcended their youth. And I think that's why they're a rightful champion. It doesn't fucking matter who was hurt in the playoffs. Okay? At the end of the day, there's one thing that's hanging, that's a fucking banner. So it pisses me off, and people are like, oh, there's an asterisk here, there's an asterisk there, bullshit. I think every team is going to deal with injuries. And the opponents, it's so rare that you see a team in an entire playoff run and no one's hurt. And you get it every single year. And I think it's total BS that people want to merit a championship. You did it every single season. So congratulations, OKC.
And think about it. Chet Holmgren got injured not once but twice this season.
Hart was hurt too.
Had a broken hip. Isaiah Hartenstein started the season injured as well. Alex Caruso missed too many games where he didn't even meet the requirement to make an All-NBA team. They got healthy at the right time. There is a certain amount of luck that goes into it. But Chet Holmgren's not the most injury safe dude. No, he gets out onto the court and he gets injured. If they don't have Chet Holmgren last night, there's a chance they're not celebrating a championship. There's a certain amount of luck that goes into these things. But I say that to say again, to start this year, they weren't the most healthy team. There was a point in the season where it was a genuine concern. Was Chet going to ever be at 100%? You just have to get lucky. And unfortunately for Indiana, where they had a ton going right for them this whole playoff run, I want to talk about hindsight because sometimes it sucks. Riv, you're talking, I get goosebumps because it's true. There's no way that if you were in that situation, you're going to sit down and not give it a go. It's the NBA Finals. You have a chance to hang a banner. You have a chance to solidify yourself in NBA history to be remembered forever. You're going to give it a go. There's one time over these last few that there's a player that sat down and people are going to be like, hey, Giannis Antetokounmpo didn't give it a go versus Indiana because he had a calf strain and he was able to go ahead and play the next year. Does not matter to me. Like, yeah, okay, credit to Giannis for deciding to put health over anything. And I can respect that too, but there's something about putting a team and a city first. And that's what Tyrese Haliburton wanted to do. That's what Kevin Durant wanted to do. That's what Jason Tatum wanted to do. You go and you play for the team on the front. For the name on the front, that's what you play for. Tyrese Haliburton is a warrior. There's nobody for the rest of his career that's going to look at Tyrese Haliburton and not at minimum respect him. Last night, he earned everybody's respect. He was out on that court. He was hooping. And that is going to go down as one of the bigger what ifs. Because what if Tyrese Haliburton doesn't get hurt in Game 7? It's true.
I think that it's all nice that he'll earn people's respect for it. I think it's a little unfortunate that he had to take this type of moment because he earned my respect when he was playing through a hamstring injury last year and everybody clowned him for not playing well.
Fair.
When I knew that he was hurt and it was visibly clear that he was playing hurt and people wanted to downplay what he meant to that team. So I think he should have been respected regardless.
I agree with you.
NBA championships will be remembered no matter how they're won. Nobody or cares anymore that the referees robbed the Kings in 2002 versus the Lakers. The Lakers won a championship. That's what history says. Nobody cares about Game 7 Warriors versus Rockets when the referees missed a ton of calls. The Warriors won a championship that year. Like, nobody cares about those moments because you can nitpick so many moments throughout NBA history. And at the end of the day, OKC has won a championship. And I don't feel like it was rigged for them because the arguments don't work for them the same way that it works for other teams. You can make the argument the Lakers and the Warriors had a favorable whistle. You can't make the argument that OKC, the smallest market in the NBA, has one. You just can't because it's not a team that has that type of cachet to where you think the NBA could even make a call to do something like that. I think my biggest takeaway from OKC winning the championship was I think it cemented them as the greatest rebuild in NBA history. There's never been a team that has rebuilt this quickly and has had this much success in this short of period of a time. 4 years ago, they won 22 games. 3 years ago, They won 24 games. Then they made the play-in. Then they were the first seed in the West. Then this year they won 68 games and they were the first seed in the West. They went from, since moving to OKC from Seattle, they went from Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden to James Harden getting traded and blossoming and becoming MVP in Houston, to Kevin Durant leaving that franchise high and dry, to Russell Westbrook and teaming up with Paul George and Carmelo Anthony, coming up short, and then trading Russell Westbrook for Chris Paul, and then trading Paul George for Shea, who we didn't know was going to be MVP at the time, and a draft pick that ended up becoming J-Dub, and they restarted, they rebuilt. And Sam Presti, back when OKC wasn't making the playoffs, he was quoted saying, when we make the playoffs, we want it to be an arrival, not an appearance. Well, last year they made it as the first seed. They lost in the second round, but that was an arrival because we knew that they would keep ascending from that point. And in just their second year playing together, they win the NBA championship. This has been a arrival. This hasn't been just a feel-good appearance or story. They have achieved what everybody dreams of achieving when they have an NBA team, and that's winning a championship. And he's been able to do it with this core, with the amount of assets that they have going forward. And we all acknowledge not just the greatness that this team achieved this year, but what they're on the verge and the precipice of achieving years moving forward. They have 3 draft picks in this draft. They have a draft pick, a first rounder last year in Nikola Topic, who didn't play this year. So people are begging and finding a way for OKC to one day just not be this good. The second apron's going to hit them. You can't keep J-Dub and Chet and pay Shea. Well, yes, they can, because they are the best equipped team at keeping their stars while also continuing to add really good players because of their treasure chest of draft picks. This team is the closest team that we've seen be on the verge of a dynasty since KD went to the Warriors. The difference is it wasn't a power move in that sense where you have a star joining this team. It didn't take a Giannis coming to this team for them to get over the mountaintop. Yep. It took good moves around the edges. Caruso and Harden put them over the top this year. And this was just J-Dub and Chet and Shea's second year together in the playoffs. And they're all going to keep growing as a unit. So I think this was the greatest rebuild in NBA history. There's no asterisk on being the second youngest team in NBA history to win the championship. There's none on that. And whether they want to, people want to admit it now or admit it later, this team is going to be undeniable regardless. They are just so far ahead of the curve over anybody else because we haven't seen a team this young ascend to these type of heights this quickly since we've been alive.
And I'll say it before and I'll say it again. This is going to be the worst they play. This is going to be the worst they're going to be. Because Chet is only going to get more confidence. He's only going to get better offensively. You saw his impact yesterday on the defensive side. We've seen his impact defensively throughout the entirety of the postseason. It's just a matter of him being more consistent on the offensive side. That's inevitably going to happen. J-Dub had his moments of being hot and cold for a majority of this postseason. I would like to say he was more hot. J-Dub defensively, we see how versatile he's been. We saw the leap that he took offensively. His ability to get downhill and finish with the opposite hand. He was extremely comfortable. There was a lot of moments where I saw him comfortable. Again, that was a big blemish on him last season for me. You weren't ready for the moment. He, at least in this run, had a lot more moments than last year. He was able to show that a lot more. And SGA wasn't the three-point shooter that he was last season, but again, we saw time and time again, when you needed a big shot, when you needed a big play, SGA was there. This defense was great. Do we see this defense be this great next season? Maybe that takes a step back, but we know that they can get better offensively. And if this defense can just be at average what it was this season, we're talking about a powerhouse again.
They showed some vulnerability on the offensive end. And even still, they kind of figured that out as the postseason, as that series went on, right? Like Miles Turner's physicality on Chet, he struggled with. They weren't giving him the benefit of the doubt as many on those calls. And they're still kind of figuring out the shooting and the shot-making department where there's a lot of different parts to their offense. And the biggest game, Shea, and 12 assists. And you come back to a moment like Game 5 where J-Dub posts 40 points, Shea gives you 30 and 10. And each moment where they had to do it, they showed the resolve to pull it off. And it's a great point that they were very healthy on the defensive end. That definitely helped them. But there's another gear to that trio of Chet, Shea, and J-Dub next year because Chet missed so much of the season, the regular season, of course. So I feel like next year we're going to see them continue to blossom. And I like what you said as well because 3 years ago, this was a team that was losing by 73 points in a regular season game. And John Morant didn't even play the team that they lost to that. And three years later, they're a team winning championship. So it's pretty absurd to think of how abrupt they've been, but how ahead of schedule they've also been. Because a year ago, before they were a 1 seed, people are skeptical if they'd be a playoff team, and they shot to 55 wins. And then this season, we're like, all right, remember here is kind of like, they might be championship or bust. You bring in Caruso, you bring in Isaiah Hartenstein, and all of a sudden you had those final pieces of the puzzle, and they lived up to the task while having some really tough kind of teams they had to face. The Nuggets, Nikola Jokic took them to 7 games. Conference finals, you play a Timberwolves team that had been there last year previously. It was a tough road to getting there, and even still, they're able to prevail. So, I mean, I think when we think about this run like you highlighted, it won't be the injuries that I remember. What I'm going to remember is Game 5.
1,000%.
That's what I'm going to think of.
Yeah, I think asterisks really only matter when you're like comparing. Like if I'm like comparing like a
2011 Mavs to this year.
Yeah, like if I'm comparing runs, then you bring up that because it's like, all right, we have to pinpoint. But like just talking like winning a championship, like bro, who fucking cares? Like realistically, it doesn't matter. Something you said that was interesting because I feel like this team is a lot, and I'm using Boston for an example because I feel like this team is a lot different than the Boston team because the Boston team was much younger. But I feel like the big 3 in Boston, the big 2, I'd say, are a little bit more established than the big 2 in OKC, whoever you want offensively. And their third was like just plug and play. It could be Porzingis, it could be Derek White. I feel like I'm excited because we see a lot of dominoes being made early on. We see Desmond Bane go to Orlando, Kevin Durant go to Houston. So I'm excited to see how the West tackles this offseason because I feel like we said the same things about Boston last year when they won the title. Who's going to stop this big 5? You know, who's going to come in here, dominate this? They're looking at a dynasty. We're looking at a team that can't be beaten. Now, obviously, they're a lot more older for the most part and stuff, but they're a lot more seasoned, and their starting 5 was probably the best in the league. So, interesting to see how the West tackles this because you're sitting there, and like you mentioned, John and Joel, you both mentioned it, a treasure chest of draft picks. The second apron is probably not going to, like, you're going to pay your big 3 guys, and you know how to make moves around the margin. You know how to draft well. You still have guys on the roster, like Drew mentioned, that hasn't even played yet. And you won a championship, and your shooting was probably god-awful for most championship teams. Like, the three-point shooting was stinky. And offensively, you weren't at your best, and you still were able to pull up a championship. So, interesting to see how they kind of get better at that department, how they move on. Because, like I said, last year, I feel like we said the same thing about Boston. Boston came out, they won 60 games this year. Yes, they won 60 games this year, lost to a Knicks team, a lot more veteran, a lot more seasoned in the veteran department. Interesting to see if OKC goes grab a star if need be or goes make another marginal move or comes back with the next roster because I feel like teams that are kind of stay stationary, don't make any type of moves are kind of the teams that maybe get caught up a little bit. But like you mentioned, treasure chest of draft picks, still going to have money. Still can make moves. Excited to see how this offseason goes.
Shout out to Carson. I love to steal stats that he posts because 9 out of 10 times they're incredible. He puts the work in. He's a legend. Of 4 of the last 6 teams have not been cream of the crop 3-point shooters. And that's interesting because, of course, we understand that 3-point shot has changed basketball and we've really seen offensive cater to the 3-point shot. That being said, the 2020 Los Angeles Lakers were 11th in 3-pointers made, 12th in percentage.
I believe that.
The 21 Milwaukee Bucks were 10th in 3-pointers made,
offense.
14th in 3-point percentage. 23 Denver Nuggets were 10th in 3-pointers made. They must have been high in percentage, I'm assuming, because he didn't post that. Because you can also look at the team. Yoke was shooting the 3-ball well. Murray was shooting the 3-ball well. KCP was shooting the 3-ball well. They had a decent amount of shooters on the MPJ, of course. Their percentages was high, but in terms of 3-pointers made, they were 10th. And then this year's Oklahoma City, 11th in 3-pointers made and 13th in the post. 13th in 3-point percentage. But we watched that, and Riv, I agree with you. Watching it, it was obvious the 3-point shot was lacking.
You also named a lot of teams that realistically, there's not a lot of guys on the roster where you respect at the 3-point line.
But what did all of those
Defense.
teams have in common? The defense, and even that 2023 Denver Nuggets team The defense was what stood out to me outside of the obvious Nikola Jokic. But come playoff time, the defense stepped up a ton. You saw MPJ take on some responsibility on that side. Aaron Gordon really emerged in front of our eyes as like a premier defender as well. Of course, KCP, Bruce Brown off the bench, Christian Brown in spot minutes, and Nikola Jokic took a huge leap, or at least put that energy forth come postseason time on the defensive side of the ball. What wins championships, to nobody's surprise, is defense. Because also, what were the 2024 Celtics amazing at? Defense. The 2022 Golden State Warriors, their bread and butter. Of course, Steph Curry was incredible. What? Their defense. 2019, the Toronto Raptors, their defense. Warriors, they were amazing defensively. Of course, they had amazing offensive talent, but what is underappreciated about them was that their defense was elite. Every year that they won a championship, their defense was near the top of the league, if not the best in the league. So yeah, I'm not surprised that Oklahoma City is celebrating a championship. But what I am interested in is next season, how do they integrate Topic? Because Topic is a true point. He can't shoot the three ball that well. The fear is people are going to throw out, hey, is he another Josh Giddey? I think that he can do a little bit more in terms of getting to the basket. And let me not say it because, of course, Giddey. Yeah, exactly. I think Giddey this season really took a step in his game. But I'm talking about OKC Giddey. Lacked a jump shot, was an amazing playmaker, wasn't the greatest defender. So that's going to be interesting to see how they integrate him into the offense. Because
that's Topic, pretty much.
Exactly.
Topic
that's exactly
is like
what I'm
a better
saying.
Driver, like creating the advantage.
He's a much better driver.
He's also coming off a
Topic?
ACL.
Yeah, I don't think he's that good.
I think if Topic doesn't tear his ACL, he's number one in the draft. I felt that way last season before the draft started too.
Before the ACL, he was in that combo with.
He just couldn't shoot.
I'll be honest, like you
Castle.
saying that, it's like I didn't hear it. It was like fuck no, because like
Of course, the draft was exactly.
Yeah, you know?
But to where he fell is what I'm saying.
Yeah, the injury for sure dropped him.
Yeah, I think that, without him, I think they could be fine. It really doesn't
100%.
matter.
They could
But
trade him.
But Topic is going to play next year.
It's also
Yeah.
like Usman Dean.
We'll
was
see
top
what he
12 picks
provides
in
and
the
and all that good stuff. I just think that when it comes to OKC, that they just were able to have so much leeway offensively because of how great their defense was.
1,000%.
Like, I think measuring their offense comparatively to the other teams that have won a championship, I think it is the most underwhelming offense of the teams that have recently won a championship.
24 Celtics?
I say the
think
Bucks and them are like
the Bucks are
Back
the
in
most under, but even then, like Giannis was just so
dominant.
much of a dominant force that I don't know if I could say that.
Love you,
You know,
Chris
because
Middleton that run too.
Giannis averaged
jersey,
35
not
in
Giannis
the
jersey.
finals.
Yeah.
So like OKC, their defense allowed for so much leeway offensively for them to where they can get away with a lot of things because of how much their floor was raised by having that defense. They were number one in this postseason, but they were number one in postseason history
In turnover
in
differential?
turnover differential, plus 131. The second closest isn't close to them.
Yeah.
So they were able to create offense off these turnovers and just suffocate teams. And that's where game 7, the Tyrese what if conversation comes into, because they were leading at halftime. And in the third quarter is when they lost control of that game.
Mm-hmm.
And in that third quarter, what happened? The turnovers happened. You know, if you have the one of the safest players with the ball in Tyrese in that game, who doesn't turn
You
the
gotta
ball
talk
over
about
in
that.
that moment.
Somebody also sat for just.
Yeah,
Carlisle's
you're right.
a brilliant coach, but
He
his
fumbled.
third quarter coaching was malpractice.
He fumbled. He fucked up. He had a moment.
Yo, he legitimately sat for almost the entire third.
He went. He was too in his ways. He did not go and he like. I get it. You love your depth and stuff like that, bro. Siakam got to play 45.
And Siakam's a star player.
Yeah, he got to play
The
45.
minute that Haliburton gets injured,
I'm telling Siakam, you're not coming out. the game.
Siakam should have known.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going the rest.
You're not coming out the
I'm
game.
not sitting a minute.
Yeah, like if it's a minute, it's like the last minute of the quarter.
You have an entire offseason.
Yeah,
You
nah.
got to let it all out on the court.
Game 7 in the finals.
Come on.
And that's why, OKC, they have such a hot floor because of their defense and just an all-time defense, And when you couple that into what SGA is offensively, he's just an all-time shot maker, and his scoring gravity just creates so many playmaking windows. You get this type of result. But, they were tested this postseason. 2 game 7s this postseason that, things could go a little bit differently. Denver, game 7, they blew them out the water.
Yeah.
I think,
But this game 7 was the one that was like, it was looking to be a close game.
and I think that's where the nasty asterisks come, where game 7 twice, star players were hurt and stuff like that. But it's like, bro, you can go back to every run in like the last 10,
You're
15
smoking a
years.
team by 50?
Yeah,
I'm
like-
sorry. That was pretty
like,
definite.
Yeah, like you sit here, you can go back and every run has an injury. Like every run.
Aaron Gordon maybe is like, if healthy, like 100% healthy, in a 50-point loss, I'll give you 20 points, and that's me being absolutely generous. You're still getting blown out. The only point I'll make, because I don't want Boston fans on my ass, the 3-point shot last year's season for them was amazing. The only reason why I said them was because Tatum was underwhelming and they still won. But the 3-point shot from literally everybody else was incredible.
In the finals, they weren't that good offensively. But in the first 2 rounds, they were good.
I'm a grown man now. You know, I can accept. You know, I took my L last year.
4-1.
Their defense was incredible. Dallas' defense was really great, and it made them look the most uncomfortable they did in the postseason.
Yeah.
I thought Boston just missed shots.
Both. 1,000% agree.
Yeah, I thought they were getting wide open looks that just didn't go. Kind of like the Knicks series in the second
But it's
round.
also the finals. Like, you're going to be tighter. You're going to be more nervous. You're going to miss shots that you normally make.
They shouldn't be. They've been here before.
But yeah, and that's why, you know, Dallas,
you're right.
I think they lost that series because of their offense. Like, you know, I do think Luka had terrible
They need a
defensive
mover.
moments, but their offense, Derrick Jones Jr. didn't shoot well. PJ didn't shoot well. Nobody shot well. Kyrie played one good game in that series. So, you know, that's why I feel like they just needed more help offensively, but their defense more than held their own against Boston. They held them to their lowest offensive rating of any team in that playoff run.
Let me ask you a question and we can move on. If they lose game 7, is it like the most definite thing Chet gets traded for Giannis?
No.
I don't think Chet gets traded.
If they lose.
I don't think Chet, you can't trade him. His defense is too important.
For Giannis is what I'm asking.
The window is so open that they could have won next year.
Giannis still gives you a chance for a dynasty.
The runway in Oklahoma City is so long that I would be so patient. It opens a hypothetical.
Because he had some lows is the only reason I'm asking.
Most importantly, he has injury questions.
That
Very
too.
alarming to give him a supermax. But even still, I think I'd be tempted to run it back next year with a little bit more shooting and a little more of a credible.
I feel like Chet
off the bench.
and Giannis is elite together.
The together's agreed.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I don't think that it would have been obviously a bad move for OKC to do that.
No,
but I also
even
don't
if they
think,
win now, it's still not a bad
but I
move.
also think it would be the best package for Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Like,
I
you're
do
not
think
getting a
that-
player from any other team of the level of
No.
Chet.
No, but I do think that getting Giannis, you reach the second apron quicker because of his salary.
That.
And also, I don't think that the Bucks would take on Chet. I think they'd want J-Dub. Like, it's J-Dub or
J-Dub is
not.
more
It's J-Dub or
reliable.
bust.
Here's the thing. I agree with you.
It's not because Chet's not phenomenal. It's that he just is
Injuries.
more injury prone. Like, it's J-Dub or bust if I was Milwaukee.
I think the theory of trading Chet has less to do with the championship and more to do with his injury concerns.
Yeah.
And that being tied to the willingness to pay him. To where I think winning the championship wouldn't affect that as much.
Mhm.
Compared to, like, all right, are we comfortable giving him this contract? I think that's what
I feel
it
like
would
I
they
be.
just
have some
wonder
injury things
how
in there.
desperate would they have gotten. It's like,
I don't think they would have been desperate.
this is 2 years in a row that Chet has kind of been underwhelming, even though defensively, I'm trying to give him his flowers. Defensively, he was amazing.
I believe that what Presti's going to try to do is leverage those draft picks to get further away from the apron, to trade players to more years in their deals.
Yeah.
They're more team control, more cost effective, to where you kind of avoid that and stretch this runway without having the restrictions of being in the second apron for 2 or 3 years.
Mhm.
Hit this team as early as it could, because when you pay J-Dub, you're paying Chet at the same time.
Yeah,
And so it's like when you pay these guys, it's going to happen at the same moment, and it's like, all right, well, now you can't keep buying.
The only silver lining
So
for
I
right
think
now
that's how they're going to do it.
is that you're not going to be forced to pay Chet an All NBA rate.
I also think Chet's offensive inconsistencies come from them not having a defined role for him on offense. Like,
Mhm.
there's times on the court where I don't know what he's like. I don't know what they want him doing out there. Do they want him spotting up?
That's my
being a
thing.
roller?
What is his elite trait offensively?
Being 7'3"?
That is an amazing trait. I'm not going to gloss over that. He does not have one.
well, for his size.
That's what I'm asking.
Well, for his size, it's just shooting and it's its handle. For his
Elite
size.
trait? I
In
don't
the
think he's an
postseason,
elite shooter
In the
for his height.
postseason, he hasn't shot well, but in regular season, he shot well.
The physicality has gotten to him, so I think it's affected his shooting and his touch. It's just a matter of, like, the defined role is probably going to be more perimeter oriented. He's just not a physical enough screen setter for you to play with him, like, as a pick and roll.
100%.
That's where I feel like they struggle to find that, like, concise role from the Blossom. And even Miles Turner, who kind of outmanned them physically in that series, he was just as poor on the offensive end.
Yeah.
I also think that there's just been a very clear difference in how Chet looked to start the year and how he looks now. The injury has affected him.
I think that's fair.
Like,
100%.
And I think
That was
he'll
like 10
be
games.
properly judged
And it
with
was
this
inconsistent.
offseason.
Yeah, it was like 10 games.
And then heading into next season, I think at the start of next season, he'll look much better.
I will give him
offensively.
the benefit of the doubt, is what I'm saying. They're celebrating a championship.
Yeah.
They're lit. They're lit. They're lit. We're
Now
out
it's
of
next
the idea that what if they lost. We're out of that.
he should come back.
Now next
extremely
season,
improved, for
he
sure.
should come back more healthy, more confidence. I'm excited for this version of Chet that we're going to see.
Also,
but
I'll say
scary,
his
'cause you said that
elite
last
trait
year.
is finishing around the rim. He dunked everything around the rim in the playoffs. He was super impactful, and he swung games with his physicality around the basket.
so you're saying
I don't think
So-
he's
so-
an elite finisher, though.
I didn't really see him miss around the rim in the playoffs at all.
I don't see him take a shit ton of contested attempts.
He was dunking on a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Jeff Green does too. You know what I'm saying? Like,
But Chet was doing it
you
consistently.
know what I'm saying? But I don't think he does it like at this grandeur. Like, we talking about like dudes like SGA is an elite finisher. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you're not. I get where you're coming from, though, Joel. He obviously has that height advantage, that size advantage
Yeah,
over
what's
a
the
lot of
attempts?
his
Look at the
guys.
attempts.
Let's look at the.
by the way, Gafford just got paid 3 years, $60 million.
By Dallas?
Yeah.
Nice.
Good contract.
Also,
Nice
Jason
contract.
Kidd has not extended yet,
Yeah.
and they let go of all his assistants. Billy Donovan got
He
extended.
finished 66% at the rim in the playoffs.
That's valid. How many attempts? If you say like
110.
oh, that's valid. It's a fair amount. Yes.
No, that is good. 66 is really great.
For a player at that side, it's
It's
mid.
underwhelming. Yeah.
66. I'm not
I
going
mean,
to be
for
upset
a
at
7-footer,
66.
It's different. For a guard, that's great.
Yeah, for Shea,
Like
that'd be
J
like
Dub's
99%
at 63.
time.
He's 6'5".
No, but that's amazing.
Yeah.
66. I'm still valid with 66
Yeah,
personally.
But coming out of Gonzaga, his finishing, his willingness to play through contact was a huge positive.
He also
But
played in, no shade, a very weak conference. Which
He's
does
also an older one.
They
Neither here nor
they
there.
didn't win the championship, correct?
Zaga?
Yeah,
No, they was
no.
in the Final Four.
Well,
Did
that
they
was-
they
that
lose
was
to
Suggs'
UConn?
year.
Or no, they lost to Purdue. They lost to Purdue.
Yeah, they chose year after Suggs, Kispert, and
I'm thinking of the game winner, this full
yeah.
court one.
Yeah, that was 2021. So chose in high school.
The most unfortunate part about the Haliburton injury is that not only did he not get a chance to finish Game 7, but
Next season.
the Pacers' season next year
Yep.
is essentially a wash. Like, we've gotten
I don't like saying that.
two teams in the East, Celtics and Pacers, who
They get their pick back.
next year, yeah,
They
do.
got their pick back.
But
for
I
2020.
think they traded for their pick back because they knew the risk of Hali playing through this injury.
You
Because-
think?
Absolutely, they did.
There's no
because
way they big brained it that much.
they traded for it after he got hurt.
I think they traded for it just because 2026 is better than 2025.
They had the 23rd pick in 2025 in this draft. They traded that pick to go get their 2026 first round pick.
I mean, shit, if they big brained it, shout out to them. But I don't think they'll be low in. Like, I think they'll still be a playing team in the East.
They're still going to be very competitive.
Yeah, like I don't. So like, shout out to them for sure. But they're still. I still
It
see them get like the
changes
18th pick.
the way that they approach this offseason.
But I think they'll be more defensive oriented.
But I think Miles Turner might be gone
Nah, I think he's staying.
because Miles Turner is an unrestricted free agent. And if you're the Pacers, if we're not going to compete this upcoming season, why are we going to pay Miles Turner $30 million?
Because what's the replacement?
But I mean, exactly, and that's where there's question marks around the team. I just think that Miles Turner, he's played well in the playoffs. He was underwhelming in the finals.
He's all right, yeah.
I think he's a good center, but if he's going to command 30 to 35 million, am I the most comfortable paying that?
No.
I'm not.
Yeah, I'll say I agree with you on that part. I think if you pay Miles 35 a year, you're crazy. I think if you pay him 30 mil, you're fake a little crazy too. But I think if you can't find a replacement, and plus Isaiah Jackson's still coming off that ACL injury.
Like Achilles.
They had
pardon me.
3
And
players to their
And he's
Achilles
built
this year.
off. He's an athletic freak. Like he's a rim runner and stuff like that. So that's not the easiest injury. You're kind of stuck in this limbo of, yeah, this year may be a wash, but we still want to be competitive. You know, we still are gonna be competitive. We may not have Hali for this high elite offense, but what does that scream? More defensive oriented lineup. So if you can find a replacement, I'm all for it. But if you can't, it's those conversations with you and Miles Turner are gonna be tough because he kind of has the leverage where you kind of need me. And there's not many teams out there that are going to have a ton of money, and you're not going to have a replacement. I don't think, Like, you still got Mathurin, who still needs to develop his game. You still have Neesmith, who is young. You still have Nembhard, who, like Drew loves to mention, he had an underwhelming regular season. So now he's gonna take on a more heightened role. So you still have a relatively young roster to where they still need some seasoning to get through, even though they did make a final.
No, they do. I'm not saying that they got to tear the whole thing down. I'm just saying that with Haliburton not playing next season, I'm thinking about not paying Turner more. Because
so he's a Laker.
Because when you injure your Achilles,
good job sneaking that in.
It's not just you're going to be out for the year. It's also the year after that. How are you going to react to playing after a serious injury like that? There's a time period where you have to adjust. Yeah, Kevin Durant has done it, and that's why he gets my ultimate respect.
He's one of the few, though.
And I will say the good thing about where they ruptured their Achilles is it was a right leg. It's not their plant leg. You know, when your left leg is where you kind of lift off and you kind of, you know, you use most of your left leg as a right-handed shooter to kind of push off of your shot more. So the fact that it was
jump shot again.
So the fact that it was a right leg, I don't think for Tatum and Haliburton, I think that's the optimism viewpoint of things. But it totally zapped next season's expectations for making it back to this position. And I do think that now the 2026 first round pick becomes a whole lot more valuable because now who knows where they're going to end up in the hierarchy of the East.
So they're going to play in team.
Haliburton, him rupturing his Achilles, I think just speaks to a bigger problem that the NBA is dealing with right now. And I think there just has to be less of a load on these guys' body. There's too much of a load on their body in the NBA in the regular season and the postseason. They're not getting enough rest days. Aaron Gordon mentioned that. But also, these guys come into the NBA nowadays with so much more mileage due to how much games they play in AAU. They're playing so many games a year in AAU that they're coming into the league with so much more mileage. And we've seen this year 8 players rupture their Achilles. The record before this year was 5 in 2014-2015 season. We've gotten 3 more Achilles injuries this year. This is the most that players have ever injured their Achilles. And I understand in hindsight, you can say you should protect your player, a right calf injuries. You stay away from that. You don't play on that because there's a chance for this to happen. I think that Haliburton is just the ultimate competitor to where he was not going to allow himself to sit down. And I understand the perspective from where Game 6, he played on it and he looked great and he looked fine. He made it through the game. And you're expecting that same thing in Game 7. And this is Game 7 of the NBA Finals is the final game of the year. All chips on the line. This is what he has been dreaming of his entire life, to become an NBA champion, to lead the Pacers to their first NBA championship. So I understand why he would risk everything, because in his mind, he probably thinks the reward outweighs the risk, to where if I can deliver this championship for the city of Indiana, even if I get hurt, I will feel okay with myself. It's unfortunate the way that it happened in the first quarter. It was one of the worst moments in sports, seeing a player go down in that big of a game, because you immediately knew how demoralizing he felt in that moment, knowing that he had popped it, knowing that he was done. He couldn't help his team anymore. And I feel like that was the most gut-wrenching moment. And it speaks to the injury crisis we're having with these calf injuries in the NBA right now. But it also speaks to, I think, the toxicity around how we expect these players to perform when they are hurt. Because Haliburton isn't the only player that has played through injuries. We've seen other players play through injuries, and when they refuse to play through injuries that are more serious than we think, we oftentimes, people, especially in the media, try to criticize them and act as if they aren't really hurt. They're not being tough enough. And we also have unrealistic expectations for these players when they do play on these injuries, and expect them to perform at the level that they should be performing at when they're healthy. But we're not taking into account that they're injured, and they get criticism for playing through an injury and not playing their best when they're clearly hampered. And I think that type of toxic culture around how we speak about it puts the pressure on these guys even more to go out there to not be perceived as somebody that had given up on their team. Because you look at Darius Garland, he should have not been playing a game in the playoffs in the second round. He went out there because of the public pressure that was put on him. and people saying that he wasn't a true competitor for going out there on that injury. And that's why the public pressure of that just leads athletes to make bad decisions. And sometimes it doesn't escalate to this level to where Haliburton is now out for the year, but that type of pressure is real. And I think I look back at the 2021 Nets with Harden, and he played through a grade 2 hamstring. That zapped 2 years of his career. He wasn't right until 2 years later to where he finally looked like he got back his explosiveness. And that was because of he wanted to be out there for their team. You know, it's a double-edged sword where these are the biggest moments. These athletes do have to play. But at some point, I think as a whole, the media has to lay off these guys when they do get hurt. And also the team has to do a better job at protecting them from themselves.
I agree with that last point. They have to do a better job of protecting these athletes from themselves. Media plays a piece of it. I agree with that. However, I think that if you are a quarter of a competitive person, it does not have to do with what anybody else thinks. It's what happens in your heart and in your mind. What, in my mind, do I want to do the most? I want to be out there with my guys. I would go to hell and back with my guys if that meant, end of the day, we're raising a banner. That's what it's for me. And I think that I'm not a quarter of some of these athletes that of course that we talk about on a religious basis, but on like the super minimal level. And when it comes to me playing in my men's league game, I'm injured. I got a fucked up knee. I just banged it in the first inning of the game. And this is a real story. My knee was killing me. I knew I should not have played, but I looked up and I said, God, just give me an hour. Give me an hour, take this pain away, because there's no way you're telling me in the championship of our league that I'm not going to play. And this is a stupid men's league. We're talking about the NBA. We're talking about the finals. It's not, I think that the media does play a part, no doubt. I'm not trying to minimize what you're saying, but I think that it's the self-drive that a majority of these athletes have to be the absolute best, to want the best for not just themselves, but for their team. That's why they do it.
But it's also, you know, you play through that in your league, and there isn't any vocalization of you doing that or not. If you chose to not play through that, nobody would question you. Nobody would say anything about you.
But I would look on myself and think, I can't believe I couldn't do it for us.
I mean, I understand that, but these athletes, they're getting talked about at a national level, and there is even more external pressure on them to go out
1,000% agree.
And play through serious injuries.
100% I agree with you.
And that's why I feel as if there needs to be more responsibility on people that are covering the game to understand that a player is injured. Yeah. And the first instinct isn't to think that it is faking an injury. Because when the report came out after game 4, after game 4, when the report came out that Haliburton was dealing with the right calf injury, people thought that he was faking it. Oh, this is the biggest front runner of all time. He's going to fake an injury when he's down in the finals. That was, I saw those reports.
That's disgusting.
But this is what I'm saying is that people's first instinct is to go out and try to minimize the injuries that these athletes are dealing with.
You know what? Now that you say that, I do remember. Skip Bayless put that out.
He did say some crazy shit like that.
Well, Skip Bayless was a big culprit of trying to act like he wasn't hurt.
Done. There's a reason why Skip is over. Statements like that. That's disgusting.
No different than, you know, Stephen A. Smith questioning Darius Garland with his injury too. You know, he had a big voice the entire second round of the playoffs, vocalizing for Darius Garland to play and calling him soft for not playing through a toe injury. But it was a serious toe injury, and now he's going to be out 4 to 5 months because he played on it. Like it became more serious than it had to be. And Haliburton, I think he plays in that game 10 times out of 10. Hindsight is 20/20. So maybe if he knew he was going to get hurt, obviously he doesn't play.
You never know, for real.
But like it cost the Pacers so much more than just that chance.
I'm with you, bud.
Because now it's next year. It's the year after that. And I look at Pacers fans and I really feel for them. And I feel for the franchise and what they've gone through, because Paul George, after a phenomenal year, breaks his leg with Team USA. Yeah. Victor Oladipo, after an All-NBA season where he was one of the best 2 guards in the league, tears his ACL. And now Haliburton, Game 7 of the NBA Finals, after leading that team there, he ruptures his Achilles in the first quarter. These have been the last 3 Pacers franchise stars that has given the city hope, and something devastating has happened to them.
Malice of the Palace in 05. Even Danny Granger. This is a team like every single time they've been on the cusp, they've had to overcome an obstacle. And I agree with both of you. I think you both make great points.
Hey, man, they gave Kobe and them hell.
It's true.
But really, the NBA needs to do a better job protecting the players. Because it's easy for me to read a report off Google and say someone shouldn't be playing. But like you highlighted, I did not know that stat, that the record was 5. And this year, you had 9 players tear their Achilles. 3 of them were on the Pacers. Wiseman in the open. You had Isaiah Jackson a couple weeks later, and then Tyrese. There has to be, and I've said it for the longest time, in the NFL, if there are 25 games, if there are 30 games, there's more injuries, it'd be less interesting. Yeah, the 17th game, I don't think it's made the league any more interesting. But in the NBA, if you have 62 games opposed to 82, I think the league would be better quality. I think you'd have less injuries, and you'd have more rest in between so stars aren't hurt in the postseason. Look at 2021. Amazing finals that year. That season's playoffs fucking sucked because we had injuries left and right for every single contender up until that Nets-Bucks series. And it really does affect the quality of the play. And then you have stars like this missing the entire season, like Jason Tatum, like Damian Lillard, from injuries in the playoffs. And people say, back in the old days, they didn't have these issues. Well, the NBA playoffs increased the first round 2003 from 5 to 7 games. That won't affect the Pacers, of course, this year. They won 5 versus the Bucks, but there's something to be said. I think the league could profit off of more quantity or more quality opposed to greater quantity. It's not like those regular season games in February to March are selling the tickets, and neither is a superstar like Jason Tatum or a player like Tyrese Haliburton when they're out for the entirety of next year, because the season was 82 games, and he spent over half of it playing through injury.
Yeah, I think the happy medium is just lessening playoff series. I don't think the first round of the NBA playoffs has to be 7 games.
Yeah.
That could easily be 5.
Yeah.
Easily be 5.
More upsets, more.
I don't think it needs to go on for that long. Like, the NBA Finals is probably the only one in the conference finals where I think like 7 games is like necessary for it. But I think it starts with that, because then you give these players more rest in between these games to get their bodies right.
What year did it change? Because in 98, they still... It is 2003. Yeah, because I'm watching The Last Dance, and 98, they played the Nets in the first round, and that was 3 games. So that's interesting. So in Jordan's tenure, arguably the best of all time, you had a first round that was 3 games. You didn't feel the need to change it then.
That's 3, yeah. That's 5.
Kevin Durant got traded to the Rockets, and the package was Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and the 10th overall pick in the draft.
To tell you, man.
Now we'll talk about the Rockets in this scenario, and then we'll talk about the Suns. You did try to tell me also, it was reported that Kevin Durant consistently was rejecting trade offers until they could offer the lowest possible amount for him.
Yeah, he rejected Minnesota's.
Yeah, so he got Houston to pay an amount that was more than fair. I mean, my goodness, more than fair.
This is light cheese.
Does this make
light cheese? Yeah. You have to give away Jalen Green.
You have 2 starters in the top 10 pick.
Starters?
Who? Excuse me? Jalen Green's not a starter.
He's such a wishy-washy starter.
I almost said some heinous shit.
He was just a starter on the Rockets.
I get it, but like they had
Dylan
to.
Brooks
is it
a starter on the Rockets.
I'm with you.
So that's 2 starters in the Rockets.
Sure.
He was the best player on a second seed, dude.
Maybe the 4th, 5th.
He was the leading scorer.
Jalen Green.
5th is extra.
4th.
4 of the 4 better than him.
Amen. Comfortably.
Oh yeah, Şengün comfortably.
That's it.
We could argue, Tari. We could talk about it.
No.
Fred?
You need to go to prison.
Fred?
Dylan Brooks.
No.
I'm very low on Jalen Green. I would never go that far. I would never stoop.
All right. What's the difference? Both of them are inefficient. Both of them are inefficient scores. Fred and Jalen Green. Who's a better defender? Real shit.
Fred.
Who's a better playmaker?
Although Jalen's no slouch.
Who's a better playmaker?
Who's the better shot?
I don't know. I guess Fred. I guess.
Why? Because he makes tougher shots inefficiently, like Fred VanVleet.
But Fred VanVleet would never attempt them. He doesn't have the capabilities.
That brother, he attempts some
wild
shit.
A year ago, when he was averaging like 8 assists a game,
I can't shit on Fred because he did cook in the playoffs. Yeah, he was.
Wait. So, do you think that Dylan Brooks or Jalen Green is better?
Wow.
I think Dylan Brooks more impactful.
Stay there. Sounds good,
He's
bro.
a much
so
better
that's
defender.
3 that were better.
So you gave up.
I never was here.
You're not winning that battle if the 5 players are better than the Rockets.
I mean, you guys
never was here.
I was never here with Jalen
Never
Green.
was here.
No, not really.
He never was.
How many daps we had to Jalen Green?
And then I saw the playoffs. I'm done.
Even though the one game where he was amazing, it was no surprise they won.
Oh, you're moving the goalposts. You saw the playoffs, but that doesn't mean you were never here.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Come on.
Did you fall off after the playoffs?
Yes.
You're done after his first time in the playoffs?
He just got traded.
All right, he's on the Suns.
Yeah, I'm good. What do I need to?
He's gonna have opportunities still.
Good. And what are we gonna see? 25 off really poor.
I don't know. You
shooting.
probably never thought the Rockets would be a 2 seed while Jalen Green was their best number 1 option.
None of us
He didn't
did.
score.
Right?
Is Jalen Green now the third best shooting guard on his own team?
Who would you take
What
over
if
him?
Bradley
Beal?
Beal?
Devin Booker, Bradley Beal.
All right. This is where I go.
Is
I'm not
Bradley?
here with that.
Wait,
I'm not
hold
here
on.
with
Why is Bradley Beal not a better player than Jalen Green?
Bradley Beal is better.
that. Bradley Beal was awful last year.
He's still better.
He
than-
wasn't
He
awful.
wasn't awful.
What? Yo.
Bro,
What
18,
constitutes
4,
as
4,
awful?
Really good efficiency
side,
for a
bud.
third option's pretty
Pick a
good.
side.
Oh my god.
He's
side.
awful
He
for
took
his
a side.
contract.
We
The
know
contract is abysmal, but he
We
still
know
had a
that.
good year.
He was
While
good.
you're over there going with his basketball.
He was
reference
more
page, he had a
efficient
good-
than Jalen Green
Yeah,
last
that.
year.
I know.
Let me ask you.
But I'm saying that because
Being
I've
more
said
efficient
Bradley
than
Beal. Yeah,
Jalen
really,
Green
it's
is
not
not
hard.
hard.
It's not hard, but I'm
But
saying
we're
efficient.
asking who's a better
not
player.
hard.
So you think
when you're
Jalen Green's a
missing
better
Beal,
player than Bradley Beal?
I think that's a like, bro. Honestly,
I'm taking Bradley Beal.
I don't
Done.
even-
I'm
I
taking
don't
him.
even-
But at the
year
same
for
time,
that.
the
What's
only reason
efficient?
He was above league average. Drew, let me ask
What's
you.
league
How do you
average?
feel about the Kevin Durant trade to the Rockets?
how do I
No,
feel
no.
about it?
Let's stick on this. We'll be there in a bit.
Okay. I want to focus on the actual player they're getting.
We are. But Riv, are you looking at his stats right now?
no,
For a
What are you
third
looking at
option,
then?
he had a good year.
no. I'm not.
He averaged like 19 when he played.
Would you like
on
me to
like,
look up?
what is it, 48, 37, I think, off
He
the top
just
of my
didn't bring
head.
what Phoenix needed.
Let's see.
My initial statement was that Jalen Green is now the third best shooting guard on his own team.
Okay.
Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, I think, are both better than him.
Okay.
You're right to say that.
I mean,
You
like,
think that's a correct statement?
All right, so
Yeah, I don't
Beal
think- I
was
know that's a correct
17
statement.
on 50, 39.
For a third option, that's as good as production as they're getting.
Jalen Green was the first scoring option, right? Okay. Bradley Beal was feeding off of Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. Okay.
KD
I'm
had
actually-
20 games.
You're cooking.
I'm axing, right?
I still would slightly.
No, I'm just. I'm,
Beal also averaged 30 as the first guy.
no, I'm trying to figure out because, and this is, I'm just asking the question.
I don't appreciate this.
I wanna get to a
conversation.
healthy
Neither do I. I
medium
want to
here.
be on to Kevin Durant. Yeah, I don't want to be here.
If
Super
one
rude.
guy is a third option,
Yep.
and he's more efficient than the first option, couldn't one assume that the third option is just feeding off the first two options he's playing with?
Not
What
when
if
the
they don't
first
compliment
option
one
has
another?
averaged 30 before. The third
That
option
was
has averaged
so
30.
long ago. I think we can move past that.
I disagree because the 3 stars in Phoenix do not complement one another. And
Compliment
KD
doesn't
missed a
mean they don't
quarter
get
of the year.
attention. That doesn't even make sense.
It
What do you mean?
does.
Just because they don't compliment it
They
doesn't
had
mean they're
redundant play styles and they didn't play well off one another.
yes, redundant play styles, yes, but Devin Booker and Kevin Durant are still getting
Durant missed a quarter of the year,
correct. Yeah.
and the Suns needed Beal to be a Drew Holiday, and his skill set just overlapped with their existing 2 stars.
Well,
So
to be
what they're
fair,
asking for him to be like a lead point of attack.
Kevin Durant
defender,
played more
it's not
games
his
than Bradley
game.
Beal.
No, for sure. Beal missed a
Beal
decent
missed-
Like,
amount
this
of
is an
Beal-
insane hypothetical, but if you swap Beal and Jalen Green, all things equal,
They're
the
not the
contracts are
second
not the
seed.
thing. I think Bradley Beal is averaging like 25.
That 50
Agreed.
mil hits hard.
We're not talking about the contract.
I'm just saying as a player.
Okay.
As
all
a
right.
player.
He's 23 years old, man.
He
Can we
averaged
give the guy a
17,
chance?
3 and 4. Jalen Green's at 21, 4 and 5. All right. I ain't arguing
What were
about
the
that.
efficiencies? Can you just read them so I know? Like,
Who? With who?
Jalen Green, was it 36%?
Jalen Green was
Please.
42,
Yeah, I knew the field goal was bad.
35, 81.
35 and you rounding?
Yes.
34?
No, it's at 35 flat.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
at 35 flat.
Can we give him some time?
Yeah,
The
35.
Rockets gave them no time.
It's been 4 years.
did. They did
4
give him
years is
time.
Hey,
enough?
Joel, a statue love. They have the same PER.
They do. Who has a higher one? Or is it the same?
It's
flat?
15.2 to 15.1. It's the
Who's
same thing.
15.2?
Please.
Bradley Beal.
Okay.
You're not getting the point.
I
one.
needed it.
It's
Who
the
has a
same-
better BPM?
I promise you, if that point one favored Jalen Green, I was jacking it. However,
Kevin Durant.
I want it to be known that Houston, my bags are not fully packed.
Let's poll it.
I have some clothes in Houston still, but I did bring some clothing with me as well to Phoenix.
Are the Rockets contenders now?
1,000%. 1,000%.
Meaning they
are.
can compete with OKC
Yes, they can.
and they can potentially beat them in a playoff series.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can. What they missed desperately and what they needed desperately this season was a consistent scoring option. Jalen Green was tasked with being that, and he failed. The one game
Desperately.
he succeeded, they won. And it still was a
7.
7-game series against the Golden State Warriors with an inexperienced Rockets team. You got Kevin Durant, who is the most efficient basketball player in NBA history, and still at this age, he is still one of the best scorers in the league. You needed a number one, you got it. Kevin Durant isn't the world's greatest defender. Okay. You lose Dylan Brooks, who meant a lot to them on the defensive side and was, ironically enough, their best 3-point shooter. So you swapped Dylan Brooks and Jalen Green for that upside of Jalen Green, of course, for whatever you thought it could be, on an opportunity to compete with Kevin Durant with his last remaining years, and then, of course, help build up this young core and still maintain it. Because, yes, you traded Jalen Green, but you still were able to retain a men. You still were able to keep Sengun. You were able to keep Tari. You were able to keep Cam Whitmore. You were able to keep Reed Shepard. You were still able to keep all your young core outside of Jalen Green. Did I mention Jabari Smith, who they were able to keep as well? They still have so much depth on this team that this trade's made an insane amount of sense for them. Kevin Durant is going to make them contenders. I do believe that firmly, because they're still going to have a great foundation defensively so long as Ime's there, and on top of it, the great pieces that they do have on this team. You needed offense. You got one of the best offensive players in basketball in Kevin Durant. On the opposite side, unless you want to just stay on Houston, I think the Suns, this will be an interesting move for them. If I'm more intrigued if they do move off of Devin Booker. If you don't move off on Devin Booker, this move to me, I don't like it at all, because there's a lot of redundancy on this team where you mentioned Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and now Jalen Green. You have 3 shooting guards.
And
You
0
have,
point guards.
and exactly. What did you say? And still no point guard?
Yeah.
Agreed. No point guard whatsoever. And now you're going to pigeonhole Devin to play a position that we know that he's not his best stat.
Yeah.
You still don't have a big man. There's still definite questions about your defense. Just because you bring in Dylan Brooks, that doesn't mean that your defense is solved now.
Yeah.
Pick 10 will be intriguing to me, but if you move Devin Booker, I'm way more intrigued. And I'm definitely listening more, because at least now you have a direction.
Hey, offensive DPM, defensive DPM,
enough of you.
Jalen Green clears. Just want to let you know that.
That moves me.
Yo,
I think the Rockets fleeced. I think you get Kevin Durant for the most negative player in your starting lineup, and then Dylan Brooks, who
Why are you doing
is a
this?
great. He was
This is
their
a
most
lot.
negative player in their starting lineup.
But it's a
Fred
52
Van
team,
Vliet
though.
was terrible.
52
not in the playoffs.
You're right.
Not in
You're
the
right.
playoffs.
You're right.
And
Can't say
Dylan Brooks is a
his last
great
3 games
defender,
were sacks.
They're fucking awesome.
but he also is a liability offensively, and his shot could come and go.
Brooks.
Liability strong.
He shot 39%.
Liability
from
strong.
three.
I think
In
he
the
was
playoffs?
Not in the playoffs. In the playoffs, he shot like average. But
yeah,
in the
no.
regular
This season he was
shot
really
well.
solid 3-point shooter.
Yeah,
Can't
I like
call him
Dylan
out.
Brooks.
Yeah.
He's a glue
Liability
guy.
is strong.
I think. I mean,
He
he
was
doesn't.
left wide open
He
a
doesn't
lot.
offer anything on offense. That's what I'm saying.
He's a spacer,
And he's not really a spacer, but you sag off of him.
but shooting 39%,
In the regular season, he
38%.
showed if you leave him open, he's gonna make you pay. I do agree. There's teams that
Is
aren't
Lou
gonna
Dort a
respect
liability on offense? If the answer is yes, then
Sometimes
I'll
yes.
Very
back
similar
off.
offensive players.
If you say yes, I'll
Very
back
similar
off.
I think Lou
offensive
Dort
players.
does more offensively than Dylan Brooks,
What else
even
do
if
you
it's
do more?
slightly.
Ooh,
What more
I don't
does
know.
Lou
Dylan
Dort
Brooks,
do?
I see get kind of not like
Yeah.
he loses himself and he's like, all right,
Did
I'm
I
going to
lose-
be the offensive
Did I
creator.
lose you?
Yeah, that's what I
Did
mean.
I?
I mean, I don't want a player that can't do that, lose themselves and try to do that. I
get
think
it.
Lou
I
Dort
said
plays
they both-
within his
they
role
both-
better.
They both have the same tendencies.
But yeah,
offensively.
pretty much they're like the similar offensive players. And yeah, Lou Dort is
Liability?
pretty much. You don't want him
I
with the
don't
ball in his
know.
hands.
That's
I don't know, but I
That's
respect your
wrong.
consistency. So
Yeah,
keep
I
going.
mean, Lou
There
Dort,
was
he's
definitely
really not
points where
offering
you're
much
like,
offense.
Dort's got to sit out. Like offensively, in some points of the
There were
series.
points in his playoff run
Yeah.
against Denver where you were saying that,
Yeah, like for sure.
where Caruso, people wanted him to start.
I mean,
So for
that's the
me,
difference. You could go from Lou Dort to Caruso.
I think the Rockets fleeced because
Yeah.
I think Dylan Brooks actually hurts the most in the trade because he is the heart and soul and he is a defensive glue guy. That is why. And that fits with Kevin Durant, but you need to get Kevin Durant and Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, that's fine. Like you keep still everybody else. The Rockets legitimately right now, without Fred being brought back in this current moment, have an 8-man rotation. When you have Amen Thompson,
Yep.
you have Kevin Durant, you have Alperen Şengün, you have Jabari Smith, you have Tyrese, you have Reed Shepard, you have Steven Adams. So really 7 players. I might be missing one. Cam Whitmore, exactly. I am missing one. Cam Whitmore.
See if he gets in the lineup.
You
this
have
year.
8 players that I think could play valuable minutes in the regular season and contribute. And if you decline Fred VanVleet's player option for $44 million, you can go big fish hunting in free agency. Does that mean bringing back James Harden and having that reunion? I would love James Harden back in Houston. I think he's a better player than Fred VanVleet. I know Fred VanVleet might fit better. He's a leader. He plays defense. But James Harden was an all-star. He was on an all-NBA team this past season. And he would, accelerate this team's growth. And I don't think he'd take away from anybody's game. I think Harden can be the system. He can also take a back seat and he can spot up. He can shoot the ball as well. And even if they sign like Harden potentially, they could also sign a player on the mid-level exception.
Give it a rest,
so we're talking about two players that the Rockets could bring in that will make an impact and play valuable minutes for this team. So I think that they have the depth to go up against any team in the league. Mm-hmm. I think there still are some concerns with the team. Defensively, we know they'll be fine. Offensively, they do have an excellent shot maker in Kevin Durant, but the rim pressure has went down. The advantage creation offensively in the half court has went down. He's only averaging 2 rim attempts per game this past season. So he's not consistently collapsing the defense. He's settling for mid-range jump shots, and that works because he shoots 53% on them. So he can do that. But that's the worry right now with this team is that will they have enough players that can consistently pressure the rim and collapse defenses? And also, how will their spacing look? You know, Fred VanVleet, Amen Thompson, KD, Jabari, and Şengün. I'm looking at 2 players in that lineup that can't space the floor from 3. And I'm looking at the other ones that their shot comes and goes with Fred VanVleet and Jabari Smith. So I think that there are still things that they need to hone in on and they need to improve on. Yeah. I wouldn't be opposed to they didn't bring back Fred VanVleet. I know he had an excellent playoffs, but in the regular season, it cannot be ignored that almost every Rockets fan didn't want him on the team anymore. And I don't think that 3 games in the playoffs should automatically change that. So the Rockets are in a great position. They'll still be able to compete even after Kevin Durant is not on the team. And now there's a lot of pressure on KD because this is Kevin Durant's best team since Brooklyn. And I would say since Brooklyn was functional, which was very far in between. But Kevin Durant has a realistic shot to go on a deep playoff run now. You now are getting plopped onto the 2nd seed that did take a Warriors team to 7 games in the first round. And you are expected to be the piece that helps this team and is the driving force for this team taking that next step and making a 2nd round, going to the conference finals, best case scenario, going to the NBA finals. And I think Kevin Durant with this Rockets team in this stint, we're talking about the next 2 to 3 years. I think he has a chance to rewrite a lot of the legacy talks that kind of got zapped away from him when he went to Golden State. You know, I think if he wins with this team, it will finally be appreciated what he's done, and we won't just overlook everything he's accomplished in his career because of the Golden State move. Mm-hmm. And I think with this Rockets team, you can argue they are young enough, they are good enough for him to be the missing piece that potentially can take them to that next step.
Yeah. As corny as it sounds, KD's looking for a home, somewhere he can retire and kind of end his career as like a more appreciated figure. I feel like right now in the NBA landscape, his name has kind of been in the mud because of how poorly the Suns season went. It's important to note the Suns this year went 3-17 the games that Durant did not play. And to me, I watch him play. I feel like when healthy, he's still a top 10 player in the game. And the Rockets provide the culture and the system which he's needed for the longest time. He reunites with his former coach, Nima Udoka. They have the defensive infrastructure in place. And the only thing that they're really missing is the point guard. They need to figure that out because Amen Thompson needs a point forward right now. Whether they bring back VanVleet at a lower number or they do go and try to get a bigger shot creator in this offense, what I'm really...
Let it go.
What do you mean let it go?
Let it go.
You don't think James Harden will be an upgrade on this team?
Harden would be an upgrade. And he did have a very good season.
I'll be honest. I don't want him part of the ride.
Why not? Are you serious?
I don't know.
What I'm really focused on, this is the only negative part about the trade, is the timeline. Because you still got to prioritize the bridge between trying to win now and maximizing the
youth.
Development
I agree.
Of the younger guys.
James Harden hinders that.
Kevin Durant at 37 years old is not someone who's going to be a long-term solution as your primary shot creator. So the Rockets do kind of have to have the mindset of, at some point, we're going to need to get that shot creation elsewhere.
Trading Jalen Green sucks.
And that's a decent
But they
point.
have the 2027 Suns pick.
That's a great point because they did not give up that. And the reason why they didn't, and this is why I look at this trade for the Suns and I say, you did the best you can get because you had your hands tied behind your back. If KD had 2 years left in this deal, it's a different story. You can get a lot more for him. But because of the fact he had 3 teams narrow down his list of suitors, he had an active saying where he wanted to go, which was amplified by the fact he has 1 year left in his contract. The Suns had to take whatever they can get. The 10th overall pick is great for them. It's their own pick this year, but the Rockets really weren't going to utilize that on a player now. Even then, Reed Shepherd, top 3 pick, hardly played last year. He was my favorite prospect in last year's draft class. Cam Whitmore, really talented player, hardly playing. The biggest loss, like you said, is Dylan Brooks as a culture setter, a defensive player, but they can still replace. No. I'm not even dismissing because Jalen Green's getting replaced by Kevin Durant. So anything they are losing with Jalen Green, the best case scenario is maybe Zach LaVine.
Thank you for
I
that.
trade 100 Jalen Greens for Kevin Durant.
It's not about Jalen Green. It's about the player you're getting.
You get 100. That's 20 times 100. Do the math.
But it's going to be harder to replace what Brooks brought. I think Tyrese Haliburton will kind of fill in that role. So for the Rockets, I love this move. For the Sun side of things, I think you make do. It's not going to be the package that you're hoping to get, obviously. I mean, when they traded for Kevin Durant, they gave up a lot more, 4 times the first round picks, and Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson. But a cost-controlled contract is what decides the trade value in this case. 3 years, 4 years versus 1 is why you got what you did. I think for Phoenix, it's a fair return, and I'm excited to see Jalen Green in Phoenix because whether or not he gets moved or not, I do believe he needed a change of scenery. Like Josh Giddey, I think he's better than Giddey, though. So it's going to be interesting to see how he ends up playing next year.
Please let me know if any of these players that are free agents are better than James Harden that they could get.
None of them.
Okay.
Very few.
Kyrie Irving is the only one I will say.
He's not the type of point guard they need.
Fred VanVleet, Malcolm Brogdon, Bruce Brown, D'Angelo Russell, Karis LeVert, Dennis Schroeder, Chris Paul, Josh Giddey, Davion Mitchell, Russell Westbrook.
Those guys aren't better. I like Chris Paul as a mentor for him.
I mean,
like him anywhere as a mentor.
Ty Jerome. Listen, if they could go get James Harden, you go get James Harden.
No,
you go sign him.
And they're not.
You go sign him.
They're not.
And you go get him a chip where he belongs.
You're not worried about the timeline?
No.
Of course you're not, because all you care about right now is Harden getting
the timeline doesn't matter when you just traded for a 37-year-old.
It does matter because you didn't give up anybody important.
Okay, can we?
Sorry, I'm
Who
sorry.
are they gonna? Who are they gonna give up?
I'm getting offended.
I'm sorry.
Who are they gonna give up for Harden? He's a free agent.
They don't. I don't want to put that money on James Harden. I'm sorry.
Why not?
How many years?
2 years.
Yeah.
I can hear it, Riv.
The same amount of time that KD will be there.
But if it happens, I'm gonna be excited.
You've built a great culture there with
This is a guy who wants Amen to take the spot. And I get it.
Correct. You've built a great defensive foundation over there in Houston.
Harden has always been one of the best posted defenders in the league.
You've built a great defensive foundation over there in Houston. You have young players that understand their role. They want to improve. Kevin Durant is one of the most pluggable players in NBA history. The reason why it's so easy for him to go anywhere, whether they're young, old, or mid, is because he's pluggable. He fits with anybody. Kevin Durant going to get his no matter what. Harden's here. We got to put the ball in his hand.
Yeah, he would be their best playmaker by far.
Yes.
Harden and Şengün pick and
He be the best what?
Their best playmaker on the team.
Yes, correct. But now you still have to, like John mentioned, he keeps mentioning it. Now, what do you do with the other young players? The other young players have to get run. With Kevin Durant, you still are able to maximize their skill sets and also let Kevin Durant
I'm
get
sorry.
his.
Does Harden not make Şengün better?
He makes Şengün a lot
Yes.
better.
Does Harden not make Jabari Smith Jr. better?
Jabari, it's just a matter of if he can hit shots.
He makes Jabari Smith better. Gets more.
The only person we're talking about is essentially him taking the ball out of Amen Thompson's hands.
James Harden is not going to. No. James Harden is not going to dictate whether Jabari Smith can consistently hit jumpers.
Well, he'll get him more open shots, though.
Yeah, yes and no.
He'll generate
because teams are still going to leave off Amen. They're still going to leave off Şengün.
And Amen Thompson, he's so much better. So I don't want this to be taken as a slight.
What are you about to say?
Amen Thompson right now, he's elite at being a cutter right now. He's elite playing off the ball.
He's not an elite cutter?
Elite in transition. Elite
I
cutter,
know. I'm not
he's just saying this one.
I'm not saying no. He doesn't do more things, but he's an elite off the ball player. Like Derrick Jones Jr., how Harden was able to utilize his skill set.
Great. Top 5 pick return to Derrick Jones Jr.
Times 100 with the men.
Times 100.
I'm not saying that
times 100.
I'm not saying Amen Thompson can't have the ball. He can have the ball.
It's also Amen can't shoot as well as.
Hey,
Derrick Jones Jr.
the midi was getting there.
Shooting's not the only thing. It's the pace.
He is too fast for himself.
Is Harden gonna be able to play and Durant at 37 at the same pace as Amen?
No. Or Tari.
That's a big question.
They're not.
I think that's what
they're going to have to slow it down. And
I don't want
slow it down.
I think
you slow Amen down.
I think they can play fast.
You slow Tari Eason. Ooh.
Harden could play fast.
Sometimes.
Harden could play fast.
They play fast all game.
But because I think that Harden will be able to make Şengün better. He'll create high quality shots for him. Where Şengün is going to be really efficient. He'll make Jabari better. And he'll utilize Amen off the ball. And he being a cutter, he'll take advantage of that.
Call me crazy. We watched a ton of Rockets games last year. Did Fred not give Sengun open looks that he just didn't make? Like he had, there was a couple times where he had the little pick and pop floater. He had the little mid range. Like he's just, I don't think like he's just not.
There are so many times.
There was some, but not that. Like not an overwhelming amount. Like
so many moments.
I don't think he's gonna get a shit ton with Harden.
I think
though.
the spacing was poor with the Rockets last season.
I
think with James Harden, to your point, Joel,
and I think
it
that's
would be
where
better.
He helps them spacing wise. He's a better shooter.
No, he's gonna have the ball.
But he's a better shooter.
Does help,
and that's why you need to bring in shooters. I think that is the mindset you go through.
But Harden
grab a
is
Malik
a shooter.
Beasley or grab a Tim Hardaway Jr.
Stop!
Like, I'm just saying shooters. Like, but
Harden
like
is
that.
a shooter.
They
but
do
Harden's
need a
gonna have the
point guard.
ball
They need
most
a
of the
point
time.
guard.
He doesn't have to have the ball all the time.
But
Harden's gonna have the ball most of the time.
Dude, Harden.
He was on the team with Kawhi. He has the ball a lot.
Bro, yeah, and Kawhi had more of a usage than him in the playoffs in the first
doesn't
round.
really dictate who has the ball a lot.
In fact, I think that Kawhi had. I think in the first round, Kawhi in certain games had had the ball more than Harden. But Harden was more impactful in that series offensively in moments.
Kawhi is Kawhi. He is. But here's my thing. You sitting here, you telling me a man's an elite cutter. Fact.
Definitely.
Jabari Smith's gonna feed off his pick and pop. So you're essentially telling me there's at no point is Harden really going to space up unless Kevin Durant has the ball, because most of these guys are going to be feeding off of who?
Right now, currently,
James
there's 108 possessions being played per game.
Correct.
You can have a ton of possessions where Harden has the ball and doesn't have the ball too.
I don't think he can. I think he can play off the ball. He showed he could play off the ball in Philly. He played off the ball in Philly. Maxey averaged 20 points with him. That was Embiid garnering a shit ton of attention.
And KD will garner a lot of attention for the Rockets too. Correct. Harden's most efficient three-point shooting season came off of playing with a Joel Embiid, and that was his MVP year.
Off the catch and shoot. Yes.
Correct. I think that Harden would be their best playmaker. He'd be able to shoot the ball, and he'd make the players around him better.
How much we throw in the bag at him?
$30 million for 2 years.
I think 35 to 40 million is valid.
I'll be honest. I'm sold.
If Fred VanVleet is on a $44 million player option,
Fred had to get paid. That was a different conversation. Somebody had to get paid. They had to throw money out.
The reason why the Rockets didn't bring in Harden a couple years ago when they brought in Fred VanVleet is because these players were still ascending. I think now they are here for the most part. Like Şengün's an all-star. Jabari's a really good player. Tyrese is really good. Amen Thompson is the one that we feel like is going to take that next step in his game. But I don't think from this past year to this upcoming year, he's going to take that leap as a point guard and lead facilitator. And I think that the Rockets, they would benefit from having one of the best playmakers in the NBA.
And the only reason why I agree is because, again, Kevin Durant is 37.
He is 37.
Your window to win a championship is now. It's still some time.
They still have some draft picks.
They do, but at the same time, with Kevin Durant on the team,
the window is short.
The window is short.
I just don't know if Harden's that guy you bring in to be the guy that moves you over the hump.
But Riff, if you told me right now 100% confidence that Amon can go in day one and be their lead guard, and you're 100% sound that he can do that, he's up to the task, then I agree with you. We don't need James Harden, but we don't know that.
They were a second seed with Fred,
and I think that Fred was not that great.
And if we sitting here, we just watched. Amen had like 3-4 different leaps in a year.
But that's the whole point.
So he had about 3-4 different leaps within one season.
I agree.
So he has a full off season.
Yes.
We go into next year. He has Kevin Durant.
But is playmaking the number one thing he's working on this summer, or is it the jump shot?
It's everything.
Of course, but this summer I think you're prioritizing a jump shot.
I don't think so.
It's shooting touch, bro.
I think you're prioritizing the handle, the lead.
Definitely
play. I think they're propping him up to be the lead guard.
Yeah, but offense becomes so much easier for the Rockets if he shoots league average.
I think league average is a stretch right now. I think it's in 2 years. Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm saying offense becomes so much easier for the Rockets if you get him to that league average spot.
This is an undeniable fact. James Harden kept the Clippers.
You think he leaves the Clippers? Hard?
I don't know. It depends. He has a player option, so he can do whatever he wants. I think James Harden, this is a fact. Last year, he was an all-star. This past season, he was an all-NBA player. He helped keep the Clippers afloat when Kawhi went down. When everybody thought they were going to be complete trash, James Harden helped that team stay afloat. And all the culture talk that you're speaking about, the Rockets were an elite defense. The Clippers were the second-ranked defense ranked in the NBA.
It's true.
And what did they do?
Because they didn't have offense.
They lost in the first round.
Because they did not have offense.
So did the Rockets.
That's my point, though.
I thought you were talking about the Rockets.
No. I'm talking about the Clippers. Like, the Clippers had everything. The Clippers basically
The Clippers didn't
Clippers-
have enough
Clippers ran
spacing.
to a 3-time league MVP.
The
That's
Clippers
why.
I mean,
also-
Kawhi is also. You know what I'm saying? Like
Kawhi-
Clippers
I'm
not also
thinking-
play the Nuggets. Like
Kawhi,
Kawhi didn't play
you know what I'm saying?
Nuggets.
I'm saying Kawhi's nice, but like Kawhi also didn't play well against the Clippers. But I'm saying like the Clippers
Nuggets.
are kind of against the Nuggets. Pardon me. The Clippers are kind of a older version per se of the Houston Rockets. Gritty defense. They have their Jalen Green. I'll argue Norman Powell's better, but that's besides the point. They have their shooting guard that gets buckets. They have their wing guy in Kawhi, Kevin Durant, and it said they had James Harden. They lost in 7 games in the first round. I think I'm
to a
more,
Nuggets team.
Yeah, I'm not saying James Harden can't help a team win. That's not what I'm saying. I want to start there by saying that's not what I'm saying. I'm of the mindset of, do I really want to bring in another older veteran player that needs the ball in his hands a lot? Also, not the best defensive presence. Another guy we have to hide when our foundation has been defense, and we already brought in a pluggable star in Kevin Durant.
My answer is yes, if you don't have to give up anything to get him. Right
have to-
now,
yeah, okay. I see
the
what you're
best
saying. You have to pay him,
the
though.
best free agents right now, LeBron player option, Kyrie player option,
Yep.
James Harden player option, Julius Randle.
Yeah.
Those are the best free agents right now. Out of all those guys, realistically, because LeBron's going to stay in LA, out of all those 3 guys, either Kyrie or Harden is the one that I'd want if I'm Houston. Kyrie is coming off that injury, but he's younger than Harden, so that's why you can sell yourself on it more. But Harden is the best playmaker. I know that they lost in 7. He averaged 19 points and 9 assists versus Denver, and he shot the ball well.
Yeah.
So, and I think
I'm not
that
a big star hunter
if you are just plopping Harden into the roster, you're not trading anything.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't see how they don't become better. Like so
do.
much better than they
I
currently
think
are.
they become better. I just don't know if that's the move I would want to do. Like I still think the roster has ways to go. You still have, like you mentioned Cam Whitmore. Cam Whitmore got benched last year for a reason. He just defensively he wasn't there, and he's a shot chucker that does not pass the ball. Reed Shepherd, like John mentioned, he barely played last year. He looked like at times, obviously he got better throughout the end of the year, but he looked like at times he wasn't ready. So realistically, you have about 6 players, and Steven Adams got paid. He played great in the playoffs. He's not a regular, consistent, like I think he was hurt for most of the year last year. He was coming off that injury he had the year prior. So realistically, you have about 6, 7 rotation guys. I still feel like they need to hit around the margins because I still don't. Like you mentioned, Amen's gonna play 30 to 35 minutes. You need him out there for the defense. Tyrese gonna play 30 minutes now because you lost Dylan Brooks. So now you need those guys to be at their best defensively. And you mean to tell me their shooting is just gonna automatically jump them up to a gun because Harden and not to
Harden and KD.
Yeah, well, KD's not a playmaker.
And
per
Jabari's
se.
not a bad shooter.
Jabari's
gonna start,
he's their
so.
best shooter. Like
Kevin
out of those
Durant
3 young
has already
players,
said he's willing to take a pay cut on his new extension to stay in Houston.
I believe that.
And Harden, if you get him on a good deal, the Rockets would still have access to the full mid-level exception.
Really?
Yeah. So the same way if they keep Fred VanVleet,
All their young
they,
players
they
are on
can bring
rookie
another
deals.
player
Yeah, I
on.
remember that,
So
yeah.
like I think if you just plop Harden onto this team, I think it makes them so much better. Like if this is the timeline,
Do you think they could beat OKC with Harden? Because if you don't, then it's no point.
But
in
wait.
getting him.
We think
They got a
that
better
they can
chance.
beat OKC
No,
right
I don't
now.
think he did.
they got a
Right
better
now, you don't
chance.
think that they can compete with OKC
I think they could
without
compete
him?
with them. I wouldn't say they could beat them, but I will say
Yes.
Harden gives them a better chance.
You're right.
And
He's
here's
not
also
wrong.
to add fuel to that
Harden-
fire.
I don't like Harden in that matchup against OKC.
I don't
He
either.
still makes him a better team. What are you gonna say?
Okay,
Go first.
hear me. If you don't think Amon should have had more opportunity, or scratch that, think about how not able Amon was to be the lead guard, that they were still willing to let Fred VanVleet run the show, even though we acknowledge for a majority he was one of the worst starting point guards in the league.
What?
Fred VanVleet ran the show.
Fred,
Correct.
yes,
I'm not talking about him, and obviously we understand how great he is. But think about how constant and how willing they were to still allow Fred to run the show, even though he still
He's a
was
better
one of
passer.
the worst. Exactly. But that shows me, even though Fred was not great, Amon still was not ready for it yet.
Until he started to start.
Agreed, but I'm talking more so as a lead guard, as the lead facilitator, as the lead playmaker. I say all that to say, if you aren't willing to give him that spot over Fred, then I think that you go and bring James Harden.
Well, yeah,
Not only
yeah.
is that an upgrade, it also can aid Amon to learn how
Amon's
to be
gonna
better.
start regardless.
Of
So,
course,
yeah,
but I'm
he's
talking
gonna start
about
regardless.
primary on-ball playmaking responsibility.
It's gonna help everybody. Harden makes his teammates better.
I don't think it.
I disagree. So you're right. The Rockets do get better if they get Bryn Harden. There's no way around that. In the short term, I think it makes mostly everybody better. But it doesn't long term suit Amon Thompson, who's the best developmental piece.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very high on Reed Shepard. I think the Rockets are too because they took him in the top 3. Doesn't help him either.
He
if you're paying
definitely-
Harden
You
for
don't
next
think
2
Reed
years.
Shepard is gonna learn from Harden every day in practice?
I definitely would, but I believe the opportunity in year 3 for him to start would be a bigger benefit.
I don't. But if I'm
Next year,
trying,
not
if,
this
if-
year, but next.
Oh,
but
we
if
talking about
I'm
Reed?
trying to compete for a
Yeah,
championship,
no.
I don't want Reed Shepard to start right away.
But I think they're
agree
trying
with
to
that,
find a
but
healthy balance.
That's where the balance is Fred VanVleet. For the rumor to bring back, probably going to happen. He ended the playoffs pretty well, and he gives them a perfect bridge.
He
Where
also could come off the bench.
he
But that's
could
why,
come
to
off
me,
the bench
I
in a
think-
year. He could also start for you in the short term.
I don't think
which is
Harden
probably
steps
good.
on anybody's toes because he's an older player like KD, and he's gonna be in and out like KD. He's not gonna be here for
in
the
and
long
out of
term.
team. Like he's going to be here for 2 years, and then most likely he's
Like
gone.
I think Reed Shepard will benefit from playing with Harden. I think Amen Thompson will benefit. I mean,
He's gonna sit
we
the
we
bench.
just saw
He's
that
not gonna play.
we
He's gonna sit the
we just
bench.
saw. Well, Reed Shepard will probably be their sixth man. He'll be their lead shot creator off the bench.
We saw a men in 1 year
Him or
go
Tari?
from coming up. They're both
as a shot creator.
No,
Reed.
but I'm saying number one guy off the bench. I'm sorry. I'm thinking like first check in. I'm
Probably
thinking it's Tari.
Tari,
Facts.
but the scorer Reed.
Well, we saw a men in 1 year. 1 year.
You're right here.
Go from off the bench,
Yes.
play well, start,
Yep.
play extremely well.
I
Now
agree.
he's sharing ball handling responsibilities with Fred. Going to the playoffs. Struggle early on. Last 3 or 4 games.
He got
Sacks.
it. Definitely.
Sacks.
It was amazing.
Now you go into this year. You mentioned Derrick Jones Jr. I think that's a great comp. I think Amon can play that role. He can honestly play any off-ball role outside of shooting he wants to.
Mhm.
But like John mentioned, I don't know if that's Houston's plan when they like he's a top 4 pick. They put an insane amount of stock in him to
The
be
future
a
rests on
lead
his-
guard.
I mean, for sure. But right now, all that opportunity and touches thing goes out the window when you trade for Kevin Durant. You're the 2 seed, and you
I
have
don't agree
championship
with that.
expectations.
I don't agree with that.
Because
I
yes,
don't
you
think
still
Kevin Durant is that type of
you
player.
still want them to grow and learn in real time.
Yes.
But I think Amen Thompson can go through that even if Harden is on the team.
I think that's another guy he has to like you just mentioned it. You said all that goes out the window when you bring in Kevin Durant. I think Kevin Durant is easy to play with
I don't
anybody.
think-
But then you bring in Harden, who's a different. It's not even like he's just a different play style.
But
than
also,
Kevin Durant.
we're kind of assuming that Amen Thompson is just like the lead scoring option, and he's going to develop into that. I know that
Nah, I don't think either one of them would.
I know that that's what people like are expecting him to turn into. But what if he's just like one of the more elite, do it all players, and his value is from being elite at everything?
Then you bring in a guy next year.
Minus shooting.
Yeah, minus shooting, but somebody who can defend the opposing team's player, because right now, like
Yeah, it sounds like
Amen Thompson, like
Simmons was a league
when
guy.
you're
He was.
going into a playoff series, Amen Thompson, you're going into that playoff series saying, we want Amen Thompson to shut down the opposing team's best offensive player. You're not asking Amen Thompson to go out and drop 20 to 25 points and lead the offense over a team. You're asking him to shut Shea down, shut James Harden, shut Steph Curry down. And if you bring in another offensive player, he can put more energy into the defensive end and completing that task that he's asked to do. And that would be for the betterment of the team. I think Harden makes players around him better. I think there's a big reason why this was Ivica Zubac's best career season.
Mhm.
And right now, I do think KD is their best offensive option. I think Şengün is number 2. And if Harden can come in there and get easier shots for Şengün in the pick and roll and make his life a whole lot easier and make him more efficient, I think it makes them a much better team.
I don't fully agree. I'm not gonna sit here and say they're not asking him to go be aggressive, because even in the playoffs, like I remember the games, but obviously just looking at the game log, he went from the first 2 games 9 shots, 7 shots to all of a sudden 16 shots, 12 shots, 12 shots, 13, 16 shots. Like I think you're not asking him to be the lead scorer. No, not in
No.
year 3. I think that's
Eventually.
actually,
But it's a good sign that he's doing that. And I think that if you have your 4th offensive option being able to do that, I think it makes you a better team.
You're right.
yes and no, yes.
KD and any theoretical veteran they bring are not going to be here long term. And that's where it's all the more important that Amen Thompson kind of grows into that. The question is whether or not he would benefit more from having a more patient runaway as a shot creator or being thrust into that role right now. I think there's a balance and a medium in between where I think Harden, in theory, I doubt he declines the player option. If he does, you can pursue it, but I feel like it's most likely the Rockets bring back the same exact lineup, which is KD, thrust right in, and then Amen's their 2A, and Şengün's their 2B, but there's no denying if they brought in Harden, their chances of going to the conference finals are higher. So I see it both ways.
I do too.
I mean, I feel like their chances are higher right now. Like unless they play,
for sure.
Oh, 100%.
like if they don't play OKC right now, I feel like they're the second best team.
Outside OKC, who's better than them in the West?
That's what I'm saying. I feel like they're the best, second best team in the
Convincingly,
West.
the answer is no. When we have our list, I have the Nuggets.
I think they're the second best team in the West.
The Nuggets gave OKC their toughest series in the West. I'm respecting them. If I get a healthy Aaron Gordon, I get a healthy MPJ.
Right.
This is best case scenario, obviously.
I'm hoping we get a healthy.
I get a healthy.
Aaron Gordon
I get a
after.
healthy Jamal Murray
Right.
also. I mean, I feel like that's something that, and of course, Jokic is still best in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I respect the Nuggets.
if they want to go get Harden, I don't hate it. I just look at it like I think you're the second best team in the West right now.
And Amen's shown a ton.
Yeah.
I understand.
It's
that.
not even that. Like I think you're the second best team in the West. If you get Harden, I still think you're the second best team in the West. You know what I'm saying? So if I don't see a big jump from that, I just say ride out with the young boys and see what you can get. Because the Houston is in a position where they can wait another year. You know, and the next year's free agency class will be much better. You know, they'll have, like you said, they have Phoenix 27 pick or whatever it is. But they can make another move next off season. So they don't have to rush 2 veterans to bring in. They can just ride with Kevin Durant, see what they have in Reed, see how this next year looks for Amen and Jabari and Tari, because I think this is huge for all 3 of them, and Şengün, of course, too. All 4, and all of the young players this year is huge for them. Maybe not Cam, but because like you mentioned, Dylan Brooks is out now. Steven Adams, you know, what are you going to get from him throughout the whole season and stuff like that? But I think moves around the margin, I think that's important for them right now.
This will be the last segment of the show. We're going to do our top 5 teams in the East and West. Let's start with the Western Conference.
Do we want to go 5-1?
Absolutely, 5-1.
Love you. Here we go. With the West at number 5, for me, this one's tough. I say that because I was considering 2 teams. My Lakers, my completely not Dallas Mavericks. If Dallas Mavericks are 100% healthy, with Cooper Flag, with Anthony Davis back, and of course, this is with the idea that Kyrie Irving does return back to Dallas, and he's 100% healthy, with PJ, with Gafford, with Lively, who both have become injury concerns, mostly Lively, who Lively has been unable to be healthy for these last 2 seasons. Healthy, this is a great team. I'm going to give the side to the Lakers because 1, I love them, and 2, Luka Doncic, I firmly believe we're getting his best season yet. I think that we're going to see him in his best shape. He's motivated. He's driven. I think that we're going to see him attack the basket. I'm hopeful a lot more this upcoming season because we know how much of a better player he is when he is putting pressure on the rim and how much that also does for the offense that he's going to play on, whether it's creating shots for others, for LeBron, who we know can play off ball. Austin Reeves, we know. That's where the 5 becomes the issue, and I get it. I genuinely understand. I don't know who's going to play the 5 right now. It is Jackson Hayes.
No, I meant like who's your 5th? You put the Lakers?
Oh, yeah, number 5, I'm going to slightly lean the Lakers because I think that there's a little bit more certainty in what we're going to see from them this upcoming season. And with the Mavericks, it's an idea. But that idea is genuinely attractive, and that's why they would be, if I knew I was getting Kyrie 100%, they would be my 5, and I would move the Lakers to 6. But right now, I do give the edge to number 5 to the Lakers. Number 4, the Timberwolves. Timberwolves could also be argued a little bit higher. I just think that they've shown what their baseline is, and that's a really competitive playoff team. You have one of the best players in the league in Anthony Edwards. Of course, you didn't get that power move that you wanted in Kevin Durant, but you've shown to be one of the more respected defenses in the league. Naz Reid is still a great young upcoming player. I don't know if they're going to be able to retain Nickeil Alexander-Walker, understanding that he's going to be due for a lot of money. Julius Randle is a free agent. Are you going to choose the role player over Julius Randle, who was just a really strong player for you down the stretch when he was healthy, playing great basketball? Of course, Rudy Gobert, what he's meant for their defense. And Dante DiVincenzo, I think that this is a really strong team with a lot of depth, a really respectable team. Number 3, again, like I said earlier, I do have the Rockets here. And I give the edge to number 2 to the Nuggets because, again, they have the best player in the world in Nikola Jokic. And they pushed like maybe the Pacers did, of course, because they did push them 7. And Game 7 was a really tough game for them until it wasn't. But they pushed them the hardest in the West like no other team did. I think that the Nuggets with Nikola Jokic, with Aaron Gordon, MPJ, Christian Brown, and Jamal Murray, they're still in conversation for the best starting 5 in the game. And Nikola Jokic, again, like I mentioned, best player in the world, the continuity that they have year in, year out. And I think that this offseason is going to be huge for them. I think the Nuggets do need their respect. I do have them at number 2 and number 1, Oklahoma City, for obvious reasons. The depth, the amazing starting 5, the assets. It's easy.
I'll go next. I did mine based off just today. So like
Memphis
today,
5.
No, I did mine based off today, just how teams look today. Obviously, this is subject to change. 5 for me is Minnesota. 4 is Golden State. 3 is Denver. 2 is Houston. 1 is OKC. OKC, obvious. Houston, they just got Kevin Durant, thrusted them. Denver, like you mentioned, tough starting 5. Played well defensively against OKC. Golden State 4. I really feel like we would have won that series against Minnesota if we were healthy, or if Steph was healthy. And then 5, Mini.
I think it's a 4-team race for number 5. How you did it, I like with not projecting with the Lakers because I am under the assumption
also, I
they're
like
going
the
to
Dallas pull.
They're going to get
I don't want to project yet. I want to see how they play.
And that's on me for also not acknowledging Golden State. When they are healthy, they are one of the funnest teams, best teams in the West.
I think the 4-team race, I think the Lakers are in there. I think the Warriors are in there. I think Dallas is in there. And I think San Antonio's in there. I think San Antonio can make a major jump next season.
I thought about it, but where we stand right now, the answer is no.
A lot
to
figure out.
With Victor Wembanyama healthy, De'Aaron Fox, and
Dylan Harper,
I think they could be a top 6 team.
I know it's a stretch. I thought about it, but I couldn't pull through.
That's a shot.
I respect it.
That's a shot.
I think the Spurs are
it's
in
a
this
35-footer.
If the Spurs are one of the top 6 teams in the West next year, I will not be surprised.
I won't be either.
What are the 4 teams you said?
The Lakers, Warriors, Mavericks, and Spurs.
And what's the 4th team?
I got Minnesota.
How are they not in this conversation?
Because they just made the conference finals
2 years in a row. I gave them the respect they deserve to.
Okay.
That's it. And where we stand right now.
They beat the Lakers, so having them over the Lakers is fine.
I think they'll be bringing back Randall and Naz Reid, and they have the 17th pick in the draft and the 31st pick in the draft.
Okay, that's interesting.
I mean, I think this team still, they didn't get Kevin Durant, but they still are one of the deepest teams in the NBA.
So is Dallas.
They're led by Anthony Edwards.
Golden State.
I don't think Dallas is deeper than Minnesota. I think Minnesota got more depth than them.
That's interesting for you to say.
I mean, I think Dallas has a lot of utility players, like Najee Marshall, PJ Washington,
Najee Marshall, Nikhil
Gafford.
Alexander Walker.
Shooting wise is not without a doubt. Najee Marshall's really good, but he shot poorly from 3 years.
I wouldn't call him a utility guy though.
No, he could do everything. He's a good.
Najee Marshall down the stretch of the season showed to be a utility guy.
But that's due to role and stuff.
I agree with that.
So I feel like the Timberwolves. I mean, their role players. Naz Reid, 6th man of the year. Dante DiVincenzo, who could be a starter on a lot of teams.
Good player.
Terrence Shannon Jr., who I think is going to take a big leap next year too.
I'm here for that too.
Him or Max Christie.
Terrence Shannon Jr. without a doubt.
Max Christie played really
without a doubt is nuts.
That might be
Did
cap.
you see what he did?
Without a doubt
OKC?
is insane.
This is where I catch him. This is where I catch him.
Yeah, that was insane. Without a doubt
Terrence
is
Shannon Jr.
insane.
is much better than him.
Max
No.
Christie played excellent last year.
No.
He started
They're also
his,
like the same age.
He started his Mavericks tenure very hot, and then he kind of slowed down.
Shannon barely played last year.
To
But
say
when he
he's
played, he
much,
was
but you
awesome.
said he was much better.
When
It's
Terrence
insane.
Shannon played more than 20 minutes per game, he averaged 15 points.
How many games is that? Genuinely.
Maybe like 10 or 15.
Don't. You don't even.
But look at
you don't even gotta do it, bro.
look at the playoff games against OKC.
No,
though.
he played well.
He really was really
he
good.
swung those games.
I just way better is insane.
Way better was nuts. Call me off guard.
I think like
He played 30 games. so
offensively
there we go.
between the two, I think Terrence Shannon Jr. is way better than him. I think he can
downhill, yeah.
he can attack the rim so much better. He's explosive much better in transition. I think Christie's good, but I think Shannon Jr. has a chance to like just be an explosive offensive player. That I think he has potential to average 20 points per game in the league.
He played 5 games over 20 minutes.
How much did he average?
Yeah, one time he had 11. I'm not gonna because it's all scattered. So, one game he had 11. The game he played 28 minutes, he had 13. The game he played 28 minutes again, he had 17. Good game. Game played 29 minutes. Good game. 25. These are all in losses, by the way. The game he had 28 minutes again, 17 points. Here we go.
Well, one of those games might have been OKC. They beat them.
Yes, the OT one where they came back.
Yeah.
Let's look at Max Christie.
I think Shannon Jr. He just didn't play because there was so much depth in front of him. But
I
he's
think you're getting
awesome.
excited.
20 points per game is high.
I think eventually Shannon Jr. can become that. Like if he has,
If not
freedom.
Jaden McDaniels, him.
Shannon Jr. I think is a more polished offensive player than him. Like I think if he had like his, I think if he was on the Rockets last year,
Christie's a little bit more sporadic, I'll say, but his February runs, woo,
like Max Christie's more like catch and shoot, occasionally
sometimes
attack
you
off the
need that,
dribble.
man.
And his defense is fire.
Like Shannon Jr. is like, I'll give you the ball, go get one. He can do it.
I
Like
feel
he's
like
that good.
Genuinely, no disrespect. This is no disrespect to the Spurs. So I don't want you to take it as disrespect.
I
'Cause
might.
We're here
Okay.
because I have Castle.
All right.
You have Wemby.
I do.
We're here.
Mm-hmm.
I think putting them in that tier is crazy. Right now, as of today.
I think Fox and Wemby full season.
You wait till that
With-
De'Aaron Fox trade hits.
This is like, swear to
With
God,
Vassell-
I don't want to sound disrespectful when I say this. Fox and
With
Wemby
Sohan
duo is literally like Jettas and Addison duo. I'm not even joking right
Wow.
now. Because you are naming that and propelling him to teams with Dallas,
Fox was a third seed with
the
Sabonis.
Lakers, and we still said they're frauds. Fact.
But now he has a Wemby.
Do you look at the Spurs roster? Like,
Yeah, but
genuinely, it's not good.
Wemby could literally be.
They're getting Dylan Harper.
We're here.
Wemby could literally have an
I've been
MVP
here
season
too.
next year.
He could, and they can still win like maybe 35 games.
No way. If he has an MVP level season next year, they're a top 6 seed.
He can have an MVP level season himself, and they still like the Spurs are not that good,
with
bro.
Fox, I think Sohan Leap, Stephon
What's the
Castle
leap
your
look
toe.
like?
The Sohan leap is really
Bro, look,
one that
he's
I don't
marking,
even know.
bro.
Sohan Leap is he's a consistent jump shooter. He's been working on his shot.
If that's the case, a man's gonna be a 3-point.
And he's
sniper
an
next
elite
year.
defender. So,
we're here.
I think Sohan, he offers some, but you have Fox, Vassell,
Stop
Wemby, the second pick, Harrison
no
Barnes.
Castle love.
Harrison Barnes was the starter on the
not
third
naming
seed.
Castle's nuts.
I'd say
I did name
You're
Castle.
projecting a lot with the Spurs.
I mean, yeah, but when you have Wemby and then you have Fox and then you
You
have
said Chet was bad.
good role players around them, I did not say Chet was bad. I said he's more skilled. But
And
I
that's
think,
both wrong.
I mean, he's in a slump right now.
You heard the
One guy's playing late into the season, one guy's not.
One
That's all
guy
I'm
is
saying.
also on
All I'm
Oklahoma
saying.
City.
No, winning matters.
Oh,
No.
interesting. Interesting. I'm gonna hold you to
I'm
that
always
one.
a winning guy, man. Always a winning guy.
Let's
But
look at-
listen, I think
say this,
No, the
I'm-
Spurs could take that type of lead
it's
for
not,
sure.
It's not crazy because it entered my matrix. Only reason I couldn't do it is because, again, I don't know what opening day roster is going to look like. And I was similar with Riv in terms of not, in my list being what I think is right now.
I feel as if Wemby stayed healthy this past season, they would have been a playing team.
Okay.
And I think when you look at OKC and how they went from a playing team to 50 wins, I think Wemby being that good, he could do that.
Wemby was
mean,
sex.
there are
this
very
season.
few players.
I'll be fair. They won. They were 21-25 with him.
No, for sure. They were trending in the right direction.
The playing in the West is really, really
How
hard.
many games did he play with Fox?
I don't think
what
any.
was Wemby's
I think
record
like
with Fox?
2?
I don't know if he played with De'Aaron.
No, I think they played one
Did
game
they play
together.
one game?
Their debut and they won.
Yeah, I think they played
Against
one
the
game.
Mavericks?
The Hawks.
Hawks.
Did you just pump?
The Hawks was their debut.
Okay, all right.
They were good.
Let's look at. Let's see.
Vassell was. I think Vassell was solid.
Vassell's so not good.
I know
Yeah,
that-
I can't convince.
I know
me.
that.
No!
Onyeka had an amazing
He's
game.
fine.
Who?
Vassell.
You like those type of players. You
that
do.
can shoot the basketball.
Vassell is good.
Vassell is
I
fine.
look at him like
He's better than Kevin Herter.
Easy.
that's not saying much.
No,
Why the
it's
fuck you say
not.
him?
I know.
The Kings were the third seed with Fox, Kevin Herter, Harrison Barnes, and Sabonis and Keegan Murray.
Oh, Kevin Herter fit their vibes.
Oh, they played 5 games.
What was their record? 2-5. They lost to the Hornets.
Let's see. Better check.
But I think the Spurs are dark horses. Then I'm looking at the other West teams. Number 3, the Houston Rockets. I think the Denver Nuggets are still better than them. I think Denver, they dealt with some injuries, but if they add 1 or 2 role players to their team, I think Denver's right back into that title contention
I'm with you.
mix. So I got them. And then number 1, OKC. I think they're the best team in the West until they get dethroned.
That's easy. All right, now for the East. This one becomes a little bit less of a conversation for me unless we feel passionate about my number 5, which I don't.
Who's your 5?
At number 5, I have either the Pacers or the Pistons. I still think that the Pacers are going to be a playoff team next season, even without Tyrese Haliburton. And now I understand his impact. And I say that to also pair with the fact that this postseason, he had one of the greatest plus minus. When he was off the court, I believe that his team was a -9 net rating. and that there's only 2 players that have made the finals. While that was the case, it was 2012 LeBron and him. Shout out to young Simba, probably the face of Pacers Twitter right now. GOAT. He did a great job covering them this postseason. I still think that Rick Carlisle has done a great enough job of building an infrastructure for their offense. Of course, Pascal Siakam, Andrew Nembhard can have a lot more responsibility on ball next season. It's going to be huge, and in my opinion, for him to get involved in the regular season to help his development, that there's a little bit of consistency carrying over from the regular season to the postseason, where it's not this shock that he's this playoff riser. I just want to see what he can do in the regular season. And then TJ McConnell, obviously, we know that he can do a good enough job to facilitate and run that offense. And then the Pistons, of course, we anticipate that they're going to get better. Cade Cunningham was excellent. Jaden Ivey will be healthy. Jalen Durant, if we get 2025 version of him.
Scouting reports out. Oh, just on teams in general.
On who?
On teams.
On who?
Just scouting report is out now.
Are you a Cade hater now? Hold on. Wait. Stop. Are you a Cade hater now?
I'm not speaking about the Pistons.
Let me know now.
In general, the scouting report
I'm
is
excited
out.
for that. Are you a Cade hater?
Grand stage. I love Cade. I think Cade's exceptional.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
Bad
playmaker.
My number 4 team is the Boston Celtics.
Oh,
100%. I have the Boston Celtics.
That's hot, Drew. I like this.
Number 3, I have the New York Knicks. Number 2, I have the Magic, and number 1, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers.
You projected a lot with Magic. I like that.
I did project with the Magic. That. I just believe Bane is such a perfect addition for them.
Okay, I'll go. I can speed through mine real quick.
Do you want to do yours?
Yeah, because I feel like.
Do you have any crazy teams in your top
five? No, I think Indiana is still a better team than the Pistons. So yeah. I love Detroit. Yeah, I know that. So I love Detroit. I love Cade, but I think there's still a better foundational team. So I'll put them at 5. 4 for me is Orlando. I didn't project as much as you did, but I still feel like, they're a top team in the East. I think the fit will be seamless, but with the fit between Banchero and Wagner, that's the part where I'm trying to figure out there. 3, New York.
Who did I forget?
No, I'm sorry. 5, Detroit. 4, Indiana. 3, New York. 3, Orlando.
I'm here with you.
2, New York. 1, Cleveland.
All right, so
I didn't have Boston.
Interesting.
I think Boston's going to be around the 6-7 range. Okay.
You
were much higher on.
No, I'm wondering. I'm like, wait a minute. Knicks 3. Who did I forget? Because I'm not that high on the Bucks next season.
No,
I'm not that high on Philly next season.
I'm low.
You guys forgot a team.
If you say Toronto, we might have to get up and fight.
Number 5.
Atlanta?
It's a 3-team race. 3-team race for number 5. The Atlanta Hawks, who I think with Jalen Johnson healthy,
100%.
will be much better.
They were my honorable mention.
The Detroit Pistons, I think, are up there. And I think the Toronto Raptors have a chance
knew it. I knew
surprise people next year. And I think, this is a take that I said before, and I even feel better about it now. If they somehow do get Giannis, they could win the East next year. I do think so.
They get Giannis?
But yes, without Giannis, I think they could be the 5th best team in the East.
I'm mad
Hot take of the world.
Yeah. Whoa. Team has arguably best player in the world. They can go to the.
You think the Raptors are garbage?
Whoa! I never said they were garbage.
We just don't think top 5.
He's disrespecting them.
They're a playing team.
How?
With Scotty, Brandon Ingram, Emmanuel Quickly,
you're talking to me. I respect them. I'm not
Jamal
about to sit here and say anything about
Grady Dick.
Can you stop naming their team?
They have a good team.
They have a respectable roster to be a strong playing team.
Number 4 is the Orlando Magic. I love the Desmond Bane trade. Number 3 is the 76ers.
I knew this.
The Sixers, if they are healthy, how are they not one of the best teams?
They didn't even play good when they were healthy.
But I'm looking at the 3rd overall pick with Embiid, Paul George, Maxey, Jared McCain, bringing back Quentin Grimes potentially. I don't think they do draft Ace Bailey. I think it could be another player. I think it probably might be VJ Edgecombe.
VJ, I'm here.
VJ 6'4".
But I think that the Sixers have a chance to surprise people next year. And if there is any year that is the best year for Joel Embiid to stamp his foot in the Eastern Conference and say, this is the year I'm making the Eastern Conference Finals, it's this year. 2 of the top teams in the East, the Pacers in the East, they're not going to be a title contender next year because Haliburton and Jason Tatum are not going to play next year. If Embiid can will the Sixers to the playoffs and he can be healthy for that setting, and I know that's a lot to ask, but I even think an 80% Embiid would be good enough to propel the Sixers to the conference finals. Like, I think this year could be the year for them. They had a down year last year. They tanked. They got the 3rd overall pick. And sometimes when you lose that much, it actually sets up your franchise for the better going forward in the future. So I think the Sixers, talent for talent, I look at them versus Orlando. I think the Sixers are more talented than Orlando.
Sixers are more talented than a ton of teams. I agree with this. I can't trust them right now. Come start of next season, my opinion can change 1,000%. But right now, from what I saw last season, yuck.
Number 2, the Cleveland Cavaliers.
So the Knicks are 1.
I can't trust the Cavs to stay healthy. There's been multiple postseasons now that they're not healthy. The Knicks are number 1. I think if we make a couple moves to shore up our bench, we got to get that coach because that's still a question mark right now. Yeah, the Knicks can make the NBA Finals. Right now, they're second odds-on favorite. They should be number 1 because last time we played Cleveland, we know how that went.
You lost 4 times.
We beat them.
Oh, in the playoffs 3 years ago.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We beat them.
Bringing that shit up.
Jalen Brunson-led Knicks team has always went further in the playoffs than Donovan Mitchell-led Cavs team.
That's cooked.
I'm going to say Donovan's still chasing his first ECF.
Just like Embiid.
WCF too.
Just like Embiid.
Cooked.
So we bring a new coach that enhances this offense of ours?
Name it.
I mean, come on.
You don't even know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I don't even know who
I'm praying that Jason Kidd comes to town.
He hasn't resigned yet.
He's not going to come.
Donovan got an extension. Billy.
Ime Udoka got an extension too.
Deserved.
Go.
Houston, we're coming out the West.
I don't see how. I can see the Pacers a little bit. I don't think the Celtics are going to be a top 5 team in the
I'm going to be honest
East.
with you. You didn't even name them as honorable mentions. Like, you have me nauseated.
There's a lot of good teams in East, low-key.
If they're healthy,
Not Toronto.
so you can project with the Spurs, but I can't project that a healthy Celtics team can be top 5.
Are they keeping Drew and KP?
Probably not.
They are, for the last time, they're getting somebody back.
They're gonna retool.
Like, you act like they're just trading and getting nothing.
Yo, Riv, and what killed me is he sent that video. I think that this upcoming season is a retooling year. Sending that to me like, that's not exactly what I said.
Retooling year means that they're going to try to lose.
No!
That's what it means.
Retooling and rebuilding are 2 different words.
Retooling means that, hey, listen, if Jalen Brown subs his toe on a chair when he wakes up in the morning, he's going to be out 6 months.
No, that's rebuild.
No, it's retool.
No, that's actually called tanking.
They have to retool around Jason
No, it's
Tatum.
called tanking.
They're
going to tank.
They're retooling around Jason Tatum for when he comes back, which means, yes, I think they're going to tank the season. Like, and I don't think that Porzingis holds that much value.
I don't. I think Drew does.
I think Drew, on the contract that he does, is less than you think.
Well, they're going to have to send somebody.
Was it 35?
Look at what the Suns got for Kevin Durant.
It's 35 for Drew.
35, yeah.
So Drew's still being one of the best perimeter defenders in the game. He's a good 3-point shooter.
You got to make money work.
$35 million for the next 3 years.
That's okay.
No, that's a lot of money. He's overpaid.
100%. Of course.
Yeah.
So is Julius Randle.
He's very overpaid.
Yo. I mean, Julius Randle's mid. Yo,
he's mid.
If the Rockets traded for Drew Holiday,
Sex. Who's to be traded?
Who would you rather have?
Okay,
but I don't want that for the Celtics.
Let's go get Derek White. Let's talk big money.
Oh, nice.
Let's talk big.
The Rockets,
because we don't even need James Harden. Let's talk big money.
The Rockets are going to go trade for Drew Holiday, and they're going to give the Celtics Cam Whitmore. Oh, here you go, Cam Whitmore.
We're going to go pay James Harden for him to choke a Game 7 again.
Now, I'm just saying that's the type of value that the Rockets are probably going to get. They're going to get like maybe a player that can take 20 shots and then like a pick or something.
So money has to work.
How much was Drew Holiday making when he got traded to the Celtics?
Like 30? 31?
He's making a lot.
Okay.
But now he's older and worse.
Whoa, he's still really good.
No. He's not as good as he was when he first got traded.
He's getting older, so yeah. You know what I'm saying? But
he is worse than he used to be for sure.
Yeah, but defense
2024,
he can't do
peak.
He can't do anything offensively on a consistent basis.
He can't spot.
One thing he can do, though, play that D.
Yeah, he can still play defense.
Elite D.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
All time D.
But like that's like OKC's like 6th guy.
Caruso, that's Lou Dortz on
Caruso. I think Caruso right now is more valuable than Drew Holiday.
But
he's going to pay $20 million
for less money.
Who's more valuable, Rudy Gobert or Drew Holiday?
Rudy Gobert.
Can I be honest though? Is that not what Lou Dortz does? Drew Holiday, some nights inconsistent offense, plays great defense.
Rudy Gobert is the Timberwolves defense.
And Rudy Gobert can't play in the 4th.
I mean,
he has to.
I mean, the Lakers, didn't he have a 2020 game against y'all?
We had no center.
Oh,
We had no center.
You love Jackson Hayes, brother. You told me.
He didn't even play.
You told me he could do it, man.
He didn't even play.
Yeah, 2020 is nuts.
He didn't play.
Drew.
Bro.
20 points.
He didn't
How did he get
play.
the 20
He might have
points?
had like 26 and 27, actually.
Drew. I don't care who plays. Rudy getting that? Crazy.
All right, what did he do the rest of the postseason?
I don't think it matters.
Nothing.
20.
Why? Because he did to the Lakers who have no center.
26 and 20.
I'm not gonna lie.
It makes it worse because you routinely say he's butt. So it's
I
like,
admitted it in the moment he made me eat shit, but as the postseason continued, he showed me that I was still right. And Alex Caruso is now celebrating his second championship.
that ain't got nothing to do with him.
I know.
Yeah, like-
I think the most interesting team is the Sixers because I think
I agree.
they have a plethora of shooting guards right now with McCain, Maxey.
small guards.
If they bring back Quentin Grimes, if they draft VJ Edgecombe, they're going to have a lot of,
Yo, bro, the Hawks are going to be
Guards.
better than the Celtics.
yes.
I think the sleeper team is them right there.
The Magic?
No.
Fuck no.
same-
Dallas.
Oh, the
yeah.
Mavericks.
The
I agree.
We're not sleeping on Orlando, but Dallas.
I'm not sleeping on Dallas.
If they're healthy and the Cooper Flag is what they say he is,
Nah, they're going to move mountains.
defense, they're gonna be elite.
I know Dallas Nation will never welcome me, but I'm gonna have fun watching them this
Yeah,
year
they're gonna be a good
because
team.
I'll always love AD. That'll never change. I
Kyrie
love
will
AD.
be back soon.
I love
you know?
Kyrie.
Yeah, like Brandon Williams played well towards the end of the year.
Brandon Williams.
My
bro.
only,
He's
my
not
own-
bad. He's
my
not bad.
only issue with the team is
So you can prop
legitimately
up
PJ.
Ochai Agbaji, but
No,
I can't.
I'm propping up James Harden, and you want to deny it, and now you're propping up Brandon Williams.
I'll be honest. I think that's fair of him to say.
He's a
even
role
if-
player. I'm talking about like he played well.
Oh, Brandon
I never said. Did I say
Williams.
Harden played bad?
No,
I never said Harden played bad.
he didn't.
We're locked in on men, bro. Like we gotta.
A man's still gonna be great.
Nah,
Harden's gonna accelerate that. He's a great, phenomenal leader.
we don't need him being Derek. That's where you fucked up at when he was like, "Yo, Derek Jones Jr. Ahmed can do that."
Yeah,
you lost me.
You would lose somebody if you said that.
No,
To them.
he
I knew
can-
how you
he
meant
can,
it.
He can
No,
play.
I'm not. I'm
I
saying
know how you
I'm not-
meant it,
when
but
you
like-
explained yourself, it felt much better. But when you first said it,
You
I'm
hear
like,
Derek Jones Jr. You're like,
I don't want him to be. We drafted.
why
him
do I
like
want my
first.
number 4 overall pick to be this?
But Amen Thompson could
3.
do that, and then could have the ball in
No,
his hands.
3 was
went 3.
Scoot. 3 was Scoot.
I thought 2 was cool.
No, 2 was
B.
Brandon.
Miller. What a waste.
And then Harden could spot up. Like,
What
why
if
do we
I
think he just
said-
can't spot up and
What
shoot?
if
He could
I
do that.
said-
Spot up and shoot.
Harden is a great catch
Yo,
and shoot
bro,
player.
I know what you're doing. You just want Harden to win. You're trying to get back.
He also wants Harden back to the Rockets, which
and
I
I
also
want him
get.
to win where it started.
Yeah, even though you left him in the gutter.
You did leave him.
Yeah, no, don't shake your head.
What?
You left him in the gutter.
What?
You left him
I
in the
just
gutter.
bought Harden's.
You had
recently.
to. What does that
Nah,
matter? You
you
try to
got
get
him for
back.
a
I
leg.
like them.
You made the tweet. And you know what's funny? I
Talk.
saw his little tweet. Harden and Katie. So I knew where the vibes were trending. And I'm like, yo, he's trying to get back.
I mentioned this a couple months ago, actually.
I don't remember you doing
I don't know if I did it here on this show.
Doubt it.
I don't
But
remember it either.
You wasn't even a fan of Harden.
There might be a My League GM saved file on my 2K right now
I could believe you
with
did that.
Harden and KD on the Rockets with this team.
I can believe you've done
Jalen
that.
Green wasn't on the team.
No, I traded. Remember, I did mention it on the show. I said trade Jalen Green to the Clippers for James Harden.
I don't remember it.
I said it,
It sounds about
but
right.
I said it. I said you could trade Kevin Durant, and you can use Jalen Green's salary to go and trade for James Harden.
Oh, okay. All right. Listen, Harden come to Houston, welcome back, you know? But we've been here.
I've been with H Town.
I've been
You ain't been here in a
You
minute.
got H Town gear? I do.
I don't have any.
I have plethora of it. I have the Chinese Rockets jersey.
Yeah, I know you have a lot of gear. You have Baltimore Ravens gear.
Ni
You have the
hao.
Chiefs gear.
I have the Chinese Rockets jersey. The sleeves.
I'll be honest. He did just speak Chinese.
Yeah, you also have a Nets jersey.
Harden.
Harden beard.
Harden.
Knicks fan.
Harden. Harden.
You have more Harden gear. I think you have more Harden Chiefs gear than Knicks gear.
No, I have way more Knicks gear. You just don't see it.
I fucking figured.
You don't even have a Brunson jersey.
No, I don't. They be sold out sometimes.
Cap.
Maybe I
You
could
can
buy
always
it,
find it.
but last time I checked, they was sold out. But I haven't checked in a while. I don't like jerseys. I don't wear basketball jerseys. I'm surprised this Travis Scott jersey fits so good on me.
It
Football
does look
jersey.
good.
This is more of like a the old style NFL jerseys.
Yeah.
Bless you that are like
Reebok.
Reebok. This is how this jersey feels. The modern jerseys feel like I don't know. They just feel really stiff. I don't like.
They are stiff. I agree.
So
On
Toronto's
the shoulders.
playoff. Lock it in.
Toronto?
Yeah,
For
you
sure.
have them top 5. Lock
And
it.
if,
Huh?
and if they get Giannis, still go to the
All right,
championship.
like if they
We
get
Giannis, we'll
Giannis.
have obviously
So what are you gonna
I'm
say?
becoming a
I'm not
Giannis
allowed
guy.
to say anything
He's a
becoming
Giannis
a
guy now.
Giannis
because that's the thing. I love Giannis, so automatically I'm going to Toronto. My bags will be packed.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. News. Trey Man.
Okay.
Oh, he recovered from his back disc.
Okay, great.
That's good. Good for Trey Man. No, I think the Raptors are a really talented team, and I think they will make the playoffs. I'm
When
not
did you-
saying top 6 lock, but I think they'll make
When
the
did
playoffs.
you come to the fruition?
Whoa. You always say make the playoffs top 6. You did that to me last episode with the Celtics. No?
Well, you can make the playoffs, you have to be top 8. You're not
No,
top
because you still have
6.
to win the play.
Riv.
You could be top 8.
Wrap up the show.
Top 8 is like that.
Wrap up the
I
show.
said number 5 for my
It's
East
like
teams.
3 teams.
I had 3 teams. I had the Hawks, Pistons, and Raptors.
What makes you think the Raptors could be better than the Pistons when they weren't?
Brandon Ingram will be healthy
When has that been a thing?
2 years ago.
Was that 2 or was that 3?
2 seasons ago.
He just got injured right at the end.
Unfortunate.
Broke my heart.
Cade's better.
Sure.
I didn't like how you answered that.
No, he's better. But then, like, the second, third, fourth guys is Raptors.
What? I mean, what? Jaden Ivey's better than who's the second guy in the Raptors? I don't even know.
Scotty.
Scotty.
Please.
Oh, okay.
Please.
Scotty's.
Manuel quickly.
Jaden Ivey's better.
Whoa. I don't know.
Oh no, that's not like a foregone conclusion. That's just my opinion.
Is Ivy better than RJ?
RJ's better
Oh,
than
they still have
IQ.
RJ Barrett.
Yeah.
I forgot.
RJ's
about
better
that.
than IQ.
I don't hate
I
that
think
opinion.
RJ's better. I think he's the third best player on the team.
I don't.
He might be the RJ.
Joel, I'm begging you, end the show.
Just wait until RJ Barrett gets traded to the Celtics for KP.
That would make the Celtics.
I'll be lit.
That'd be valid.
I'll be lit.
RJ's the perfect tank commander.
But you just like Toronto.
Well, he's like their fourth guy. And I feel like from all this stuff I've read, he's like likely not to be on the team next year.
Probably because Giannis.
Maybe, or just maybe they don't think he fits with. He kind of doesn't, but
Damn.
I mean, if quickly RJ, Agbaji, Scotty, Bi, Pirtle, I mean,
Don't
you
forget
talking
Grady
about
Dick, man.
you're talking about 6 dudes. Like
Six
they're
shit.
really good. I mean, don't sleep on the Raptors, man. Don't sleep on the Raptors.
I'm not sleeping on them. They will be a strong play-in.
Top 8 seed.
There's a chance.
Top 8 seed.
Playing
Celtics
seed.
versus Raptors in a play-in. You know who my money's on. Bi.
Actually, we don't know who your money would be on.
Bi.
Because
Scotty.
if the Celtics are plus, you might just be like, put that bread on the side, take the Celtics.
Nah.
You know, I chose the Raptors, but that
I had
plus
a feeling in my
300.
gut. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know how you get.
I can't lose. That's how
That's
I'll
real
be.
spill.
You know, if the odds are in my favor, I might go with that. But that's going to do it for this episode 493 of the Pickside Podcast. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys next time.